Hallelujah, hey. Give him the highest praise. Hallelujah, hey. Give him the highest praise. Hallelujah, hey. Give him the highest praise. In the morning when I wake up, in the night when I wake up, I will lift up my voice to heaven and give you the highest praise. Hallelujah to my King. Hallelujah to my Father. Hallelujah to my Jesus. I bow before the throne. When I look at all the wonder and I see all the creation, the beauty of the universe, you never, never change. You never, never lie. You never, never change. You never, never change. Hallelujah to my Jesus. Hallelujah. 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 Hey. Hey. Hallelujah. Hey. Give him, hallelujah. Hey. Give him the highest praise. Hallelujah. Hey. Give him the highest praise. Hallelujah, hey. Give me the highest praise.
Hey, come let's pray, Jehovah. Come let's worship Jehovah. He deserves the praise. Come let's praise him. He deserves everything, oh, the worshiping. Oh, he gave me life. I will praise his name. I'm here to praise my God, oh, because he gave me life. Come celebrate, come jubilate, come to worship him. He deserves the praise. Hallelujah. Giving the higher praise. Hallelujah. Giving the higher praise.
Hallelujah. Giving the highest praise. Hallelujah. Giving the highest praise. Hallelujah. Giving the highest praise. Hallelujah. Give me the highest praise. Ooh, hallelujah. Oh, yeah, yeah. Hallelujah. 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 Hallelujah to my Jesus.
Thank you, Lord, for all you have done. If I don't thank you, I would be so ungrateful. Thank you, Lord, for all you have done. If I don't thank you, I would be so ungrateful. Thank you, Jesus. Holy Kanyo. Tato. Hey, Tato. 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 Kanyo Wario. Apart from you, there is no other God. Every other God was also counterfeit. I tried Juju failed me. I tried every other God, and they all let me down. They all say I should give something for something. Let me love on the sacrifice before they can bless me. Who says I met you? You've never asked me for a dime. You keep on showering your blessings all over me. If I don't curse you, if I don't worship you, você monta do pé, canha é minha do pé. Tato, Kaya Walio. Tato, 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 Kaya Walio. You are my light, you are my light. Daddy, you uphold my trust. You are my stronghold. You are my defender. You are my provider. Everything now you. If I don't praise you, who else will I praise? If I don't worship you, who else will I worship? Hey, você monta be, you buy all let me tato be ba. Tato, 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 tato. Yes, I want mo koyo walio. If I don't praise you, who else will I praise? If I don't worship you, who else will I worship? Hey, você monta be, you buy all let me tato be ba. Tato, 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 tato. Yes, I want mo koyo walio. Tato be mo. Tato, for all you have done. Hey, Tato, I need to pay to you. Tato, you are the great God.
Okay, good evening, folks. We want to welcome our viewers and listeners across the globe. Thank you for joining us here. We've been away for a little while, taking a break. But notwithstanding, it's good that we are here today. I'm Alfonso Zienso of the Liberia Public Radio and Lpr-Tv. We want to welcome our viewers and listeners across the globe. Thank you for joining us here. Very shortly, the conversation will take root. And we will be having a conversation here as usual. We always try to take on those things that are important about our country to have a conversation. But today, here in the ocean state of Rhode Island, we are also bereaved, especially one of our own, the liberal progressive, Samson Brown Todt of the Liberia Public Radio, first cousin, who is a brother. Person who been in this Rhode Island for quite a long time, Mr. Louis Sharrow, passed this morning at 2 a.m. Eastern Standard Time right here in the ocean state of Rhode Island. Our prayers and thought goes out to the Liberal Progressive. He will be off for a little bit. I try to recuperate and do what he's supposed to do. To the family. Louis, let me just put his picture up here. For those of you, this is the gentleman, the man, Mr. Louis Sharrow. Louis Sharrow lives in Rhode Island here for a considerable number of time. He passed this morning, according to family sources, and we have gone there to sympathize with the bereaved family, the wife and kids. They are right here. So if you're a friend to the Liberal Progressive, I also reach out to him as goodwill, as we usually do, to give support to one another. That's Samson Brown Todt, first cousin that brother, family man, Mr. Louis Sharrow. Let me see here if I can just even maybe put his name. Let me just put his name up here. He passed this morning right here in the ocean state of Rhode Island. This morning here. So our prayer and thought goes out to Samson, to the wife, and other of the children here. That's okay. Let me just put it here. That's the late Louis Sharrow. It happens this morning right here in the ocean state of Rhode Island. May his soul rest in peace. He was a kind gentleman, always family oriented. But he passed this morning. As news becomes available in terms of his interment and other things, we go
We're going to be bringing you all of that information. But for those of you who also know Samson Samson Toe is the liberal, as the only liberal on this network here. So management, I see reason to give him a time up here to reflect and I do what he's supposed to do as well. My guest is quickly will be joining me here. We're going to be having a conversation here on a wide range of issues. As usual, we're going to open the lines up and we're going to be having a conversation here a lot unfolding. Please, let's keep watch to one another. But let's have this quick public service announcement right here, and then we will eventually bring in our guests. And by the way, if you're thinking about doing public service announcement, be it obituary, graduation, whatever it is, let us know, and we're going to bring here. My guest is standing by, Ambassador Dan. Hopefully, Francis Doe will also be joining here as well. But let's take this quick obituary announcement from the New England Bureau of the Liberia Public Radio and Lpr-Tv. We'll be right back. I'm Afonso Zienso. This is the obituary announcement from the New England Bureau of the Liberia Public Radio and Lpr-Tv. The Reeves family announces with deep regrets the death and homegoings of their father, uncle, grandfather, great-grandfather, and family man, Mr. William Command Reeves, respectfully known as Teacher Reeves, Uncle Reeves, and Pa Reeves. This sad event occurred on Friday, January 8, 2021 at Nazareth Hospital in Philadelphia, PA, USA. He was born June 18, 1931 in Cablicant, Calloway District, Maryland County, Liberia, a graduate of Our Lady of Fatima High School and Maryland College of Our Lady of Fatima in Maryland, Liberia, with a bachelor's degree in education and an advanced certifications in teaching at the International Teachers Development Program, U.S. Department of Education to Washington, D.C., USA. He was a renowned educator with 30 years of experience as teacher, principals of Our Lady of Fatima Catholic High School in Maryland County, Bishop Julie Kelly High School, and Tuckman Wilson High in Zwedru Grangeda County, Webo High School, the River G County, Department of Education, and Teacher Vocations School, Webo, Order of Liberia, West Africa. He once served as an Alcohol Regional Peace Corps Director, Sultan Liberia, author of 3 books, The Native Boys of Nayaki, The National Living Stories of Liberia, and Heroes of Grebo, co-author. He was a great orator and historian that had a phenomenal relationship with multitudes of former students. He lives to mourn his death, his only sister, Jolamond Hinn, his children, Crystal Reeves, Amos Totti Reeves, couple, Robert Bada Reeves, Ophelia, Felicia Reeves Sadie, Eves B. Reeves, Franco Nawa Famata, and Amos Opit Natut Benita. Grandchildren Daniel Boyka, Ai Colley, Alicia Stalo, Christopher Reeves, Williams Reeves II, Eric Reeves, Franklin Nawa, Caroline Nawa, Lucia Bucket, Michael Sadie, Lorena Sadie, James Reeves, Alanian Sophia Reeves, Robertfilius Honint Reeves, Jemelt Natal and Jamiliat Nota. Great-grandchildren Daniel Jr., Guyanan and Franklin Jr., a host of relatives and men and former students who fondly to become part of his life. Funeral service is Saturday, January 30th, 2021. Viewing is from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Funeral service starts at 10 a.m. Eastern. Church, Maternity BVM Catholic Church, 9220 Old Gosselin Avenue, Philadelphia, PA 19115. Interment at the Roosevelt Memorial Park, 3850 Terrestrialist Road, Bensalem, PA 19020. Contact, you can reach Crystal Reeves, telephone number 267-507-8492. For Liberia, you can reach Robert K. Reeves, 011-231-8865, 79961, 7750-68696. For donations for the
for the
homegoings of
homegoings of
Mr.
Mr.
Reeves, you
Reeves.
can send
You can send
donations via
donations
Cash
via
App
Cash App
to the
to
dollar
the
sign
$ Crystal
Reeves,
Reeves,
Zelle
Zelle,
Crystal
Crystal
Reeves.
Reeves.
Phone number
Phone
is
number is
267
267
This
This
announcement was
announcement
brought
was
to
brought to
Liberia Public
Liberia Public
Radio
Radio
by
by
Felicia
Felicia
Reeves on
Reeves
behalf
on
of the
behalf of the
family.
family. Okay, what there's the obituary announcement that of a teacher, father to grandfather, Mr. Reeves. It happens right here in the USA. By the way, Liberia Public Radio will be giving a comprehensive coverage. The homegoing of teachery. Okay, my guest there is standing by again. What Liberal Progressive is bereaved. Our prayers and thought goes out there. Just got a news alert. The president of Mexico tweeted that he's infected with the COVID. Man, this sickness does not have no regard, no boundaries, nothing. There's no, I don't care the number of security that you have. No one is safe. We want to welcome one of our viewers and listeners across the globe. Thank you for joining us here. Let me bring my guests. They are all standing by. Ambassador to Roosevelt Dan. Of course, our honors senior contributor, Professor Ase Labozawlo, is here. We're going to be having community conversation here. I am Afonso Zienso right here at the New England Bureau. Okay, let's get the ball rolling. The guys are standing by. Let me just bring in Professor Asese Labozawa is there. There you see Ambassador Roosevelt Dan. We transition him. It's good. That's what we need to start by doing. We might have different political views, but hey, and I believe the passion is all about Liberia. So it's good for us to have this sort of conversation here and see where we can find common ground. Okay, let me welcome him for the first time. I believe his first appearance live via video is Ambassador to Roosevelt Dan. He's a talk show host, very strong, compassionate person to believe to see what is going on in Liberia. And of course, our own professor. What a hectic day from by front page article focus on Liberia is like here. Man, are you taking Energy Plus or some sort of Bomb Vita or what are you taking? Okay, let's get down to the wire right here this evening here. Ambassador, good evening and thank you for honoring our invitation. How are you?
Yeah, thank you so much, Lpr-Tv manager, Mr. So. Thank you so much for your invitation.
Okay, and of course, the man himself, Professor Asese Labozawlo. Professor Tai, good evening. Happy Sunday.
Good evening to you, Mr. Su, and happy Sunday to you, Mr. Down. Hello. Happy Sunday also.
Okay, again, folks, hopefully we're going to be back. The war is crazy, a lot of crazy stuff going on. And so sometimes we try to do the best we can, but if catch up with you, just catch up with you. You were saying here, I was just telling the audience, our own liberal progressive is bereaved. Louis Sharot passed here this morning, 2 a.m. right here in the USA. So the liberal, he will be off for a little bit to kind of recuperate and and do what he's supposed to do.
Hopefully Francis Doe of Canada will also be joining here this evening. Okay, so let's get the ball rolling, gentlemen. Okay, Ambassador.
Yes.
Okay, I wish it was just within my purview. I wouldn't ask for invitation. I mean, invitation intro, but there are a lot of people listening out there. You are a known guy, but you know, once you leave your own terrain and you come on another terrain, hey, you territory has its own audience. So please just go right ahead and give her a word of introductions, and we'll get right down to the wire.
Okay. My name is Roosevelt Dan. From Liberia, and I believe we are all from Liberia. I reside here in the state of Wisconsin, and I am one of the talk show hosts in the United States. To be specific, part of the ruling establishment, but currently I'm on a suspension that I gave to my very self. So maybe we'll talk about that a little bit when we started to expand on our discussion.
You honor what's your suspension?
Suspension, self-suspension.
So, oh my goodness. Okay, it's good to let the cat out of the bag. So let's see what happens. By whom it was supported and how that came about. And of course, about Professor Zavlo here. He doesn't need an introduction. Professor, we are very grateful to have a person like you. Always here to have this sort of hardcore and painful conversation. So it is there. So let me just welcome the professor. For those who don't know him, what I'm trying to, I think my guy saying here he did not get the email. Francis Doe is in Canada. We're bringing heads together here this evening here. So what I just bring in the professor to set the stage to. Let me see what I can get an email to Doe. Go ahead, Professor.
Oh, well, yeah, like you said, I don't think I'm a stranger. Yeah, I think people know me already. Yeah, so it's an honor to be here. Mr. Down. Wow, I didn't know you were under suspension. Self-suspension. That's a strange combination. Self, then impose suspension. Well, I hope you can clarify that for us today.
Okay, so don't worry. The man he who said it, what I'm talking. Okay, so gentlemen, I'm going to be in the backstage here. What I'm trying to finish up here to see whether we can have Mr. Doe here as well. He's here. So okay, let's go. Let's start the conversation going. Mr. Don, how long you been in this talk show business?
I started this thing since 2018. Yes.
2018.
Yeah.
Okay, I believe there is a reason of people starting something. How that decision came about?
Well, the decision came about when I saw a group of Liberians demonstrating in the country, demonstrating again we are government, and it was not about a lot of things that actually people wanted at the beginning. And one of those things was I think the war crime code, the establishment of war crime code in Liberia. And then so we saw protests going on in the country continually from everywhere, people protesting. And I decided to come in to talk about peace. And then I started preaching about peace and reconciliation to be able to reach out to people who were hurt during the war so that government can come in to help us at least to create a forum that we can talk about peace and reconciliation.
Okay, my other guest here, let me bring in from Canada next door to Mr. Francis Doe, one of the strong voices and so compassionate to make sure what is going on here. look, we got to mend all of the broken pieces, all of the different views. Ambassador, I'll be coming to you. Let me bring in my own man there from Canada, Mr. Francis Doe. Mr. Doe, good evening and welcome on LPR.
Good evening, Mr. Su. How are you doing this afternoon? Thank you for hosting me. Thank you. It's my pleasure to be on your platform today. I'm very honored to be on your platform today.
Thank you so much. You know, I'm an overnight guy, so most of the time when you come on, then you keep me away. Even though when I take pay, I don't send you any dime, but you get you get my night rolling. But believe me, all right. And I want to say thank you for both of you to honor this invitation. We're going to be discussing some issue here. Let Dan finish, and then I'm going to come back to you, Mr. Dan, Ambassador Dan. Go ahead.
Yeah, so since that time I have been advocating for peace and reconciliation, and I've been even requesting if the government can come in to join us to make peace, to make reconciliation in the country. But up to now we have been waiting, and I don't know when this president is waiting to do that, to talk about peace and reconciliation in the country, and when he planning to reconcile the people of Liberia. We have been waiting on the fence, and we are still preaching the word of peace and reconciliation in Liberia.
So, am I hearing that the president is not preaching reconciliation as you, who once we're going to come to the detail to bring Liberian people? Is he not doing enough, or is the government not really pushing this sort of reconciliation, you think?
To be very frank, the government of President Weah is not doing that. And these have been some of the reasons why we continue to see people from the opposition and people from non-position have been angry in the country, because the promise that he made to the Liberian people, one of those was to make, how they call it, to establish war crime in the country. Okay, so some of the people have been requesting, and some of us are come in to ask the Liberian people to reconcile instead of war crime code. What we wanted from him, or we still want from him, is to be able to take the lead to reconcile the country.
Okay. All right. Let me bring in our next door neighbor, Mr. Francis Doe, is a host also here with his own huge friends. Again, Mr. Doe, I'm honored to have you here. I don't need an introduction from you, but every platform like I did, I gotta make it proportional to make it balanced. Yet, I go ahead. How you feel here today being here?
Mr. So, let me say thank you. I highly appreciate you. Those things, to be a talk show, actually to be on, I learned this thing from you people during the 2017 election. I used to follow you people. I used to be one of the bigger fan followers of you people. Passing too, I used to be one of the bigger followers. Those things, we just follow your footsteps to see where you people left. Because very soon some of you people will be retired. So where you people left this thing, so we take it from there. That's what we're doing, Mr. So we appreciate you. It's my honor to be on your platform.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Doe. And believe me or not, I monitor you extensively. Okay, so talk to me here. How you got into this whole talk show? There must be something, there must be a genesis of it. Something prompted you to say, you know what, myself, I have to add my voice or echo across the length and breadth of Liberia. How you got into this talk show business? Why?
Mr. So, first of all, I'm not a talk show who I'm not planning to be a talk show who. You know, sometimes in life, something make you to do something, disadvantage sometimes, especially when we live in a society. I used to live in Liberia before, and I grew up in Liberia. I know the situation, where I was even say arrested in Liberia for no reason, I get hurt. So when this situation, when this thing happen, I can relate. I can put this into this same situation. I can put my own experience. My own experience made me to kind to talk show, to be a talk show, to speak on critical issue. I'm not a talk show to speak on critical issue, because especially country like Liberia, we just came from civil war, and during the civil war affect us. Some of us we feel the impact, because in Liberia, when the ATU used to beat up people, they used to maltreat people, because there was nobody to voice out our voice. Most of our brothers and sisters that were in the exile that we depend on them, they just went silent. So at a point of time, when I see the government doing the same thing and taking the same trend, I can't keep silent. Whether my voice could not make sense, it makes sense, but I still had to say something, because when this was happening to us during chancellor time, nobody could say nothing, because at that time people never have the opportunity. So having the opportunity right now, I think what I may say may not have a huge follower, but at least I have the chance to tell my friend or other people that you should not let this to happen to you. I'm not a talk show host. I just make people to understand that you have a right, the government have a right, and everybody to respect each other right. This is what they call democracy. Democracy, where the government respect your view, you also respect the view of the government. That's what made me come into this thing to express my mind.
So, how long it took you to come to that decision making as to whether am I doing the right thing? Am I prepared? How long do I intend to stay? All of those things factor in when you decided to do what you are doing now, Mr. Doe?
Yeah, but because first of all, when I started having a talk show, I used to like be with Yasini, see Yasini, and all those people, Pa Gabriel Monko, Zawi, our Fadiga, Josh Lobo, and all those people. They were mentors for me. Lufa Julia, and all those people. So I was having a guardian, but sometimes I have an anger problem. Sometimes that's why you see I use a lot of opportunity on my video. Sometimes I doesn't do it. It's not intentional, but I have an anger problem. I don't let people to provoke me sometimes. But sometimes like Yasini get annoyed sometimes. But Yasini, I don't need to tell you what I'm expressing my mind. Sometimes you're my sister, but sometimes you just but I don't say to I'm not going to stay here for a long time. I'm a Papi Baka become president, which is going to be a president. As soon as Papi Baka become president, I'm not going to be a talk show host no more. I don't going to speak a critical mind. No, I'm going to be out.
Oh, I love that.
Are
you? Is your audio on? I'm getting feedback. Are you listening to something?
No.
Okay, good. All right. Well, I'm just concerned. But I noticed when you started initially, your voice wasn't that critical or wasn't that open as it is. I don't know what prompted into that. There must be a reason. Okay, we're going to come to that. Professor Azalo.
Yeah.
Okay, so the goal of Liberia Public Radio here is begin to put into perspective people, all Liberians, regardless of our political differences. People see it from different angle, view it from different angle, taste it from different angle. And I think everybody has the right to talk about the future of their country. But what is important to us, the level of civility that we bring to the table will also enhance that. We will make sure we hold our government and we ourselves should be held accountable. You have Roosevelt Dine, the self-suspended man from the CDC. I don't know. We want to get to the detail. You have Mr. Doe from Canada. I think this is a good beginning of finding common grounds in our country. What do you think?
Well, I think the discussion is good. It's a good beginning. I don't think it's a beginning, in fact, because you've always created a platform and the opportunities for people with diversified backgrounds to converge and discuss the issues. I'm troubled, honestly, with all due respect to my two colleagues here today. I'm troubled by the duplicity or the multiplicity of talk shows. And I think it has a adverse effect on how people, view talk show. When there are so many, it creates a problem, and I wish some of these talk shows find a way to merge.
What a minute. What I mean, Professor, are you calling for people to sanction people who are going to be talking, people who are going to be expressing their view? Is that where you're going or what?
Well, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that some of these shows will merge. I know the talk show thing we do, even me coming here as a contributor, is not a full-time job. We already have our basic lives up there. And I just think it will be more effective if, for example, all of these people, for example, could be let's take for example, if you, Mr. Do, everybody could be collaborating with Mr. Don, and on Mr. Don's show, for example. You could be there on Monday, Mr. Do could be there on Tuesday, Mr. Don could be on Wednesday, another person could be on Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I'm just concerned about the number of talk show hosts. And the second thing I'm concerned about, like I said, with all due respect to them, is the quality of the show. And the words being used on the show. Like, somebody just that, what's this guy named Prophet Key, right? And believe it or not, I've never watched him. I've never listened to Prophet Key, never ever in my life. But the person said that, can you imagine one of the most listened to talk show for Liberians, Prophet Key show? What does that say about us as a people? And so that's just my concern. And sorry, Mr. Doe talked about, that on his show sometimes he can use profanity. And those are some concerns that I have. I mean, I respect him, but those are some concerns I have. I've never listened to his show before, and I would say maybe I didn't miss much. He already telling me that he used a lot of profanities because I have granddaughters who sometimes sit next to me when I'm watching shows, and I wouldn't want them to watch a profanity-laden show.
Okay, well, I think he's honest to come forward here. Okay, so let's see. I hope if anybody listening to something, so we can give our audience. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, let's come to the point. We're going to be moving forward here and there. All right, Mr. Doe.
Yeah, Mr. So.
Okay, let me come to you. Then I'm going to be going to what you make, and I watched you. One of these days, I think you were on a program, and like you said, I want people to be honest, and that's the honest fight he's speaking, because people tip people off, and part of that strategy is to have you distracted. You can have something saying, and people literally write on your post to distract you, to disorient you, so that your tone, your language should be changed. And I called him, and I was very much appreciative. His reception was good. Your country, Liberia, if you see what is happening today, and you kind of give a little bit quick view of some of the things that happened in the past, my guess here, you did not anticipate seeing these things come, these things being repeated today. Is that the case?
No, Mr. So, I'm a student of government, so I understand a little bit in leadership. Mm-hmm. Mr. So, the place you are right now, let's say, for example, in a leadership role, when you got a leader from the day the leader take over, you know that whether the office will be manageable or the leader is a bad leader or a good leader. What is happening today, we expect this thing to happen. It's like, technically, what is happening in our country today is something that people anticipate, because the leadership in Liberia, it wasn't structured based on the ability or the person's capability. It was based on the popularity, and leadership is not a popularity contest. I think this is what is happening. So people expect that, everybody anticipated, they saw that's coming, which is not surprising to me.
You saw that coming yourself. It wasn't.
Yeah, because leadership, it wasn't a leadership. The job were elected based on a popularity. People never test your leadership ability, because to be a leader, Mr. So, if you're going to work into office, people should test your leadership ability, and people should also test your integrity to see what are some of the value you bring on the table. But if people just follow behind you because of popularity, I don't think that leadership based on popularity is not a popularity contest, or is not a queen contest to say, oh, you have more people that will vote for you. No, leadership is all about critical analysis and making critical decisions for other people to follow, because you leader. When you lead, other people follow you. But as a leader, when you let people to lead you, it became a problem. So we saw this coming. They put never elect a leadership, he let a popularity. They elect somebody based on popularity, not based on the quality of leadership that he provide. Because Joel was in the Senate, he failed. They should follow a track record. Then the judgment should begin there, but he knows all these things. And there was a sign, there was so many indications. This man was senator for 3 years, he could not perform. A leadership, you could not even come up with a single bill. You could not make an argument, nothing at all. Then what gave you the capability? You never make a man a vice president to say the man that make a man as a vice president for the first time. Secondly, you doesn't have an experience. You never worked in the government. You don't have the education. You don't know what it takes. They're making a second man to see what happened. And then the third time, the second time, the first time that what happened to Winston Churchill, he made Jovial the president, the vice president to somebody that have experience. Then after the second time, Jovial can go as a president to the president because you already have a guardian. People that introduce you to the diplomatic committee. People you know how business run. You know how this thing happen. To run a country is not a guess. So we see this coming, Mr. Sway. Not a surprising thing, man.
Okay, wow. All right. So let me go on the fast train here. We want to have this conversation here. Folks, just bear with us. We need to go into the minds and the thought process of people, how they feel and things about their country. Ambassador Dan.
Yes.
Okay. You know, Mr. Doe, I know you monitor. He's on the other side of the air. You on the other side. That's the beauty of democracy. And somebody got to cut the cake here. Okay. So let me come to the point here that will drive us into our point of conversation. You say you are on our self-suspension, right?
Yes.
Why were you suspend yourself? Why were you quarantined? Let me try and flip it around. You don't have COVID. Why were you just probably no symptom, nothing? You suspend yourself. Are they not listening to you? Why?
Yes, Mr. So, let me first of all continue with the peace and reconciliation thing that we started and that I was talking about. I told you there must be something that prompts people to go into something or to do something. And I started advocating for peace and reconciliation. That's how today people call me touch your host, but I'm not actually a touch your host because that's a very hard work. I don't have time to do that regularly. You need to do that regularly to be able to maintain your follower. But I'm still advocating for that. So each time when something happens, I come in to talk about some of those things, and they get back up. But I think if you remember last year, in February last year, I went to Liberia. I went to launch the Peace and Reconciliation Forum in Liberia. We have a rally in Kanta, and I attended a lot of different radio stations talking to people about peace and reconciliation, that we need peace in the country instead of talking about war crime code, that we are gone almost more than 10 years since the war finished, more than that. And continue to pull and bring those things back to people's memory. At least we all can find a way to reconcile. But the preaching I have been doing, even though I'm from the other side, but I was expecting the president to come in or the government to come in to join us. We talking about peace and reconciliation, to be able to expand on what we are doing, to reach out to the Liberian people, to cool down some of the tension in the country. But we are not seeing those things. I don't know when the president is thinking to do that. It's not helping at all. So it makes our advocate very, very difficult to reach out to the people. Because if I'm talking something in interest of something and people are not even paying attention to what is very important, it makes people keep coming at us. So I don't know when the president will do that, to talk about reconciling the country. This is the president.
So when you I had to interrupt before I go to Professor Zawo and come back to Mr. Doe. I often hear this word reconcile. This seems to be a very huge walk back here, because I listen to you in most of your podcasts. You've been very vehement supporting the agenda of the government, which is okay. But this sort of 360 degrees somersault here, kind of a little bit, I try to wrap my head around. When you say reconciliation, what specifically do you were anticipating the government or the president should have done, and that has not happened? What really you wanted? What sort of reconciliation you wanted?
Okay, I think that's a very good question. I think the president made it clear. He came out to talk about he now in favor of establishing war crime code in the country. He also said that we are one people, we need to come together. But saying it is not enough. He had to establish it. How will we do it? How can we reach out to victims to make them feel that, yes, something happened to them, but they need somebody to come to talk to them? How can he do that? We are not been able to see that from our president. So we don't know when he's thinking to do that, or from the time he just said it verbally, is orthodox? We don't know. For me, I believe that it's not enough. There should be a forum. There should be a group established in each county to be able to preach this message. And he himself is supposed to get involved, to be able to reach out to the people, to talk to them in person about reconciling the country.
So, yeah, I'm getting you. Okay, let me bring in Zabule. But before I do that, since how long you been in this talk show here, Mr. Ambassador Dan?
I told you I started in 2018.
2018, right after the election of the president.
Say that again?
I mean, after the president, and you've been supporting the work of this president. So before I go to Professor Zablo here, you've been an advocate. Have you reached out to the government? Because you have been, I could be wrong, being a strong mouthpiece of the government. I support heavily the government plans, government agenda. Have you had these conversations with people within the inner cycle you are known, and perhaps they didn't just pay attention before you came to this decision?
To say yes, I have reached out to some of the people close to the president, some of the people in the CDC government. They are aware that I'm one of those advocating for peace and reconciliation, because this thing did not start today. And news came high, you know, even when I went to Liberia to launch that program in Canton, where we paraded all over, talking live on television. Some of them, I believe, some of them saw that. But it's not easy to reach to the government, you know, because this our CDC government, the way it looks like is you must have some connection with the people before you can be called to be closer. Whatever you do, if you are not have that connection, it will be forever. But we are not doing it for connection in the first place. But people should be watching out who is there for something and what the government stands for. Who talking about some of the things that matter to the people. Those are the things they're supposed to be watching for. I don't know if they do those things or not. I'm not quite sure.
So, okay, before I go to Sazawlo, did the government approach you to do what you were doing before? Are you being compensated for what your time or whatever you are doing? And that's why people don't know. It's not illegal. It is not illegal as long you and that's why people don't know. Helen Johnson's Sylvia administration spent over $360,000 for people who were doing their damage control and all of that. We know all of that here. So let me ask you, did the CDC government ask you to do what you were doing?
No.
It was out of your own volition, out of your own will.
What I did is this. When I started doing this thing, to make it legal, I registered this thing in my state here, state of Wisconsin. Liberia Peace and Reconciliation is registered right here in the state of Wisconsin to give me that authority to be able to speak on behalf of peace and reconciliation in Liberia, to preach and advocate. I don't need compensation from government for that, but it is helping the government to see that what they talk about, those are some of the things that we are doing by ourselves. So they're supposed to pick up and say, maybe what the people are doing, we can expand on that to reach out to our people.
Okay. So, Professor, I will be going to Mr. Doe here. Professor, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. Ambassador Dan, they our CDC government. Do you support the work of this administration? It appears in your work you have to know somebody within the system. Somebody must be embedded within the system before they can listen to you. He's one of those. I don't agree with everything that he says on his podcast, but in terms of conducting civility and how he goes about to do his program, but I'm shocked to hear that to come to this point here. That's a government and that's the administration that you support. Do you have to be part of the bare will before they can listen to you?
No. Mr. Ambassador Dan has made numerous nebulous claims tonight. His assertions tonight are void of the facts. I think they are mostly controlled by emotions. The CDC and the government of Liberia is an open entity that anyone can engage ideas. The president is always willing to listen to people. And I know that the government officials are always willing to listen to people's ideas. Look, a reconciliation is not something you can talk about. It's a confluence of factors that can give rise to peace and genuine reconciliation in any kind of political space. Is what are we teaching in schools? The new curriculum in Liberia today speaks about, introduces civics from, I think, 1st grade to 12th grade. That's part of what the Peace and Reconciliation, the Truth and Reconciliation Commission was about. When the members of the commission toured Liberia, the people told them we wanted restorative justice. They wanted the actions of government and individuals that would prevent the recurrence of war. That's what they asked for. So that's one of the steps that this government is taking, legitimate, genuine step that the government is taking. Today, county meet is going on in Liberia. And the county meet is going on with a different flavor, never before seen in Liberia. For the first time, at the end of every game, before the game, they meet in the middle of the field and they make a vow to commit themselves to promoting peace and unity in the country. That's one way we are advocating for peace and reconciliation in the country. At the end of the game, the losing team and the winning team must address the press together. Those are acts that support peace and reconciliation. Having a diversified cabinet. Those are some of the ways we do to support peace and reconciliation in the country. Making sure that the government is composed of people from different geography, different ethnicity. Those are ways we support peace and reconciliation. Peace and reconciliation does not necessarily have to be an event where you sit down and talk about it. It's about those things that you do that transform the lives of the people, making education free, bringing back infrastructure to places like Grand Crew County, places like Wayne Nima County, that have never seen the actions of government.
I disagree with
bringing those things to those people.
Yeah, you're coming, Ambassador.
Those are the building blocks.
Okay.
Reconciliation.
Okay, let me stabilize the conversation a little bit. Ambassador, you're going to come, but let me bring in Mr. Doe. Mr. Doe, are you there?
Can I just put my disagreement quick so I can forget about this important stuff?
Okay, Mr. Doe, I will come. Let me see what the protest here that Mr. Dan is about to file. What's your disagreement, Mr. Dan?
Yes, my disagreement is what Professor Zarot is talking about is a normal function of government. We cannot consider that to be the reconciliation. Even if no war have occurred in the country, we still do those things. Government will still be able to do those things for citizens. Those are normal functions that government do for its citizens. You cannot consider to be reconciliation. We fought war in the country. If you have forgotten, we fought war in the country. People were hurt, and people are still hurt. So we need responsible government who will take that responsibility to heal the country, to bring people together, to sit on table to discuss issues, to put it behind us. Other people are still advocating for war crime to come in the country. And you just overlook those things and say you're building hospital, you're giving school to people. Those are the things you're talking about? No. Those are normal functions for government. So that their responsibility to do. That's not reconciliation. Thank you so much, Mr. So.
Okay, Mr. Doe, let me make you to join this Bob Wasser party this evening. Mr. Doe, are you there? Are you there, Mr. Doe?
Yeah, Mr. So, I'm here.
Okay, you seem energized in your chair there. You listen to what Ambassador Rostefet Dan is saying here, and you briefly touch on to what government issue entails. Is that a surprise? Is this president, is this administration is not doing enough to reconcile the people of Liberia? Are you in agreement with him?
Mr. So, I agree with Councilor Mr. Rostefet, Ambassador Rostefet Dan, which I totally agree with him. You know, Mr. So, when we're talking about unifying the country First of all, they talk about transparency. Before you unify the country or talk about unification, first of all, start with accountability. They destroyed the thing that bring war in Liberia. If we keep doing the same thing, we can't reconcile the thing that bring war. What brought war in Liberia was corruption, massive looting of state cover, and people not getting a part of the share, and people went in the bush to fight for those things. If they still keep repeating, Mr. So, we're not going to get reconciliation because people will say, but wait now, you went in the bush, you said my father was corrupt, you killed my father. But the same thing is happening. We went in the bush, we killed Doe, we killed all those people because the people were corrupt. They said they were mismanaging state cover. And today the mismanagement of state cover is take a different trend. So there will be no reconciliation because if you talk about reconciliation, you must address the fundamental problem that bring those things. That asks a question: what brought the war in Liberia? We walk into Liberia because people say other people were getting more, then other people were getting nothing. And it's happening today. The president came to power. When they talk about transparency, you forget about transparency, forget about reconciliation. There will be no reconciliation at all because we're doing the same thing that brought war in Liberia. We went to war because of corruption, because of state loot. The people are looting state cover and other people are getting rich overnight. People, they can't get account of the wealth they're getting. That's why carried the country to war. That's what led to most of the president downfall. And the same thing is happening today, Mr. So. So when we talk about reconciliation, we far away from reconciliation. The thing we should supposed to be addressing is supposed to be the first thing, like, what's the cause of the war? If we know the cause of the war, if we can address the problem that bring the war, if we can address it, we can get rid of that, we can have a reconciliation. That would be a reconciliation based on genuine. The reconciliation would be genuine. But now, Mr. So, there will be no reconciliation because what do you think people that killed Doe family that went to war, Prince Johnson and all those people killed Doe family, but people like Doe were looting the country, Doe were witch hunting other people. The same thing still happening today. So what reconciliation you talking about? We far away from reconciliation right now. What we should be talking about is talking about accountability and transparency that everybody get a fair share for it. Then we talk about reconciliation. That's what I think.
Okay, so
let me add to my disagreement a little bit before I give you the floor. It would just be, I always love each time when I talk, I get example because I believe in that. I learn good by example because it helped me to remember those things. So one that Professor Javron is saying is this. For example, Roosevelt don't have disagreement with his wife or around my wife. She hurt. Then I take money, buy food. I take money, go buy your clothes. I take money, go buy a slipper for yourself. Is that what you call reconciliation between my wife and myself? Absolutely no. That's my normal function. In fact, my responsibility to give her money for food, to give her money for shoes, to give her money for clothes. I have to do that as a man in the home. But what I need to do to ease the problem is call my wife now and say, baby, this is what happened. I wronged you. How can we solve this problem so that next time we can repeat the kind of thing between us? That's what we talk about. Okay? So anybody who will be thinking about what Professor Zaro taught tonight, say Ambassador Dan gave me the example that if I have problem with my wife and I gave her money, I gave her money to buy clothes, that's not reconciliation. That's not going to yield the problem. In fact, yield the problem between my wife and myself. We need to sit down and discuss our husband and wife to settle the problem between us so we can put it behind us. Thank you so much.
Let me add on to Councilor Mr. Roosevelt down. I totally agree with you, Ambassador Roosevelt down. If it's doing a war,
you guys are forming a coalition here tonight, right?
No.
Everything.
No. But Mr. So what I agree with Ambassador Dan. If it's doing a war, when Chancellor they were war fighting, people were still playing soccer games. People used to go on the football stadium and Africa, Ghana, and all those places they used to play, but they never reconciled the country or normal thing. The government was still having it. They were still doing this thing. Even said during the wartime.
But I think you guys are.
Okay.
I think you guys are.
Yeah, Professor?
Yeah, I think you guys are misunderstanding me. And so in your misunderstanding, most of the stuff you are saying are being illusory. Because you come in to label Mr. Doe, you come to label some of the things that caused the war. And then you come back at the end and say, we need to find out what caused the war. Now, here's what I'm saying. I'm saying what the Liberian people want. And you got to go ahead and follow TRC, follow people like the late Kakumba Kone, and hear what he said prior to death. What the Liberian people said, they wanted the establishment of the institutions that will prevent war. They wanted the functioning of government that will prevent war. I'm not telling you that when a government builds schools, that reconciliation. But here's the thing: is the absence of schools, is the absence, is the
Professor?
Yeah.
I don't know whether you want to try something to see whether you can go off and come back and see. I think the audio. I don't know why it's corrupted when you're talking. I'm getting that sort of feedback.
Are you getting the feedback now from me?
Yeah, we're getting the feedback.
Yeah. So can you go off and see and come back and see what I mean? Yeah.
Let me see.
Yeah, let's see. I want to make sure here. Okay. So Mr. Doe, are you there? Yeah, you gotta unmute your mic. Are you there?
Yeah.
Okay. So you were very much extensive in your argument. We're going to get to some of the things because it seems to me in the bottom line of this year, we are gradually talking about the code of conduct. That's the direction seems to guess now that public officials should be able to make full declarations of what they're bringing into the system, so we know, and all of the things are now happening. So is it that too late for this government to recover, or the CDC-led government to put things into a rightful perspective? Do you think it's too late, or do they still have chance?
No, Mr. So, that mean be honest here. You know, a government should base on integrity, not peer pressures. The government based on peer pressure. Government to be based on transparency, not on friendship. Because friendship in the government damage the government. Today in Liberia, nobody going to do business with the president of Liberia at all. Because first of all, Mr. So, the president is not accountable to a citizen. The citizen that elected the president is not accountable to them. That's it. The president came to power. He said like Manasari and all those people, they wasn't transparent. But you're doing the same thing, and you're doing the same thing. You always have a reference. And Manasari then did it. They put our in the government before they did it. Of course, Mr. So, then you're not doing the country a favor, because if you debate on your agenda, like the hope that you take to a Liberian people is that I'm going to do different from what Unity Party or what other government were doing, which means I'm going to be accountable, I'm going to be transparent, and everything I've done, I'm going to do it openly, because I came here to build, I came to start a new page. But the president said the president came to power, they never declared their asset. Mr. So, how many government will feature that you know what they came to power with and where they left, first of all, how much dollar they have in their account? Do you know any of those the government account, the government will feature? Do you know how much money they came to power with? No. Or what they say before coming to power? No. So today, if you say no manage to declare that asset, what is they going to say? It's like almost 4 years to the 4 years. This is a 4 year. What is they going to say? This is what we require, and this is what we brought to the government. They should be, before they got to before any minister get appointed as a minister or a deputy minister, the president should be able to declare an asset and tell the citizen what they have and what they brought to the government, and also get a piece of that paper to the full estate, which it is generated. So the generally make it public to know that this man brought to the government $5 or $10. All the man before coming to the government, he owned 2 houses, 3 houses, and the guy will be making $5. Mr. So what you work today, people know how much you make. Your salary is public. Because before you get a job, they always put the job description and how much the job going to pay you. And at that point of time, when you go to work, if you make it $15 now, if you getting seen at what $25, the government will start investigating you because you're spending above your income. But everybody that came to the government, nobody know what they came with, and nobody know what they have, and nobody know what they make it. Nobody know how much they earn, and nobody know their earning. And no, even say, first of all, what you talking about? We don't have a government. We have a bunch of criminals. Only criminals do those things. Because government
I will find a line of disagreement here to say criminals that they were elected. We can disagree with them in terms of their policy and how to govern, whether they are being governed as is required or they were elected by the people to do. But those are your view and your expression. So, Professor,
so I mean, before I go, let me agree with you on that. But Mr. So, what I'm saying, they are a criminal. Mr. So, in your house, if you are the man of your house, whatever you do, your wife should know something about it. What your wife doesn't know is criminal in nature. You know that for a fact because it's something that I don't really. It's criminal in nature. Whatever you had is anything the government, if those men can be the asset public, then there's something associated with criminal activity that involved into that. Because if something is pure, it's nothing to get, it's nothing to hide. It's also nothing for you to, if you have nothing to hide, nothing to bring to the public. Because you are a public official, the public to know what your activity, because you're working for them. The poor pay you, you using taxpayer money, so they have to go you accountable for whatever you do.
Okay, all right. I see the point of direction. What is in Liberia that I know, unless they are proving here. So, Mr. Bontut, well, that's your argument here. But I'm quite sure here, Mr. Dodge, your point of direction here, talking about transparency, it has, you are making a connection here of the 2014 piece of legislation in ties with the constitutions that call for the code of conduct where government officials should make full declaration. I don't know, but you know, Liberian people, they get a way to water down things when they are talking about declaration. Declarations is very extensive, it's very detailed. I don't know who has ever done that. I yet to see that. I'm not just talking about other. But Professor Zako, the argument here being made, or assertion here by Mr. Doe here, some of the things that get us to be where we are done, is lack of transparency. This code of conduct, there was something in 2014. It was a piece of legislation to say, yeah, this is what we're supposed to be doing. Is it happening or not? We're not hearing you. Check your. Uh-oh, what happened again? We are not. Okay. Ambassador Dan, are you there?
Yes.
Okay. You listen to Mr. Doe, and his argument here is taking us into 2014 piece of legislation that calls for the code of conduct where there should be a comprehensive of assets declarations of government official before coming into government. Let me take you, let's do a little bit of walk down the stair here, the way you used to be and all of that. Do you think that conduct is being respected or is being honored or is being enforced as it should be today?
For me?
No.
Okay, now your audio go. I'll be coming to you after Ambassador Dan. I'll come to you, Professor Zawlo.
Yeah, Mr. So, to be very honest here, that piece of paper have been abused.
By whom?
Okay. They have been abused by our elected officials, our government. Okay. Right now, any government or any lawmakers, who will be able to tell me that they will put on a bill that will hold elected officials accountable, or anybody that appointed accountable, before they even confront them, to declare their asset. And that declaration should not be in hidden. It should be public, where I can even download on my phone. Every time I look at it, I will support that person. Even if I had a large money in my account, I would beg my wife and I will support that lawmaker to make that bill to go. Because these are some of the reasons that right now we are getting skeptical on our own government. Because those were some of the reasons.
Why you'd never argue all of these things before, Ty? No. So let's dwell on it is part of history. We talk about the past.
Listen now, listen. We need to give people a chance. When I came in this country, where I am today, I was not to the 3 years back, I was not where I am today. Okay, you need to give people a chance. People can change. A wild man can change. So we are observing the government. If what we promise as a ruling party, in fact, when we were still in opposition, before we get to that point, what we promised, if we were going to follow and end it to the end, that's what some of us have been waiting to see for. It's not coming forth. And what's going to happen, the next group of people who will take over, they will do the same thing, because nobody setting precedent. So it will almost be there, okay, and they took their own, we are going to get our own too. That's what we continue seeing.
So that vicious cycle will be...
Yes, it will be circulating. It will be circulating. Corruption will be circulating because no accountability. Somebody come in the government, we don't know where that man get, we don't know what he been up to, then we will see the man building all over. For example, Ambassador Dan, I don't know how much somewhere I get in Liberia. If you ask me, maybe we'll go there, I will show you some of the things I get. You will check the value of those things and add it on what I get in the US, and then we'll combine. But if you don't do that, you just see me after 1 month, massive development going in Nimakane in my knee. What will you say? I can tell you, my wife working in the United States, she's sending me money that while I'm doing my project, because you never asked me what I had before you gave me the job. And should we continue to go like that in Liberia? I said, no, we can't do that. It is now time that most of the thinkers, fast thinkers like us, to step back, to look at the future of the country than just acting that we don't know what is happening or what we promised before. So I think tonight we will not talk about my suspension. I will share you that reason why I suspended myself. You can review that and you can invite me another time. We will discuss it in detail, because there are 10 reasons. There are 10 reasons why I suspended myself from CDC. I will share it's on my Facebook page. If you see me standing in a CDC red cloth with CDC something, or CDC logo behind me, that's the something there. But many people don't know, so they don't read it. In fact, people just see picture, they don't read. On Facebook, that's the problem. So I will share it with you. Then you can invite me another time. We will go in detail each of those reasons why I suspend myself from CDC. Because where the government is proceeding now is not what we were talking about from way back. And one of the things I want to tell you tonight is this government work on, like, in fact, they want to impress people. Government cannot impress people. Okay? Like, you plan today to do something. When you hear no, then you jump out, you did that thing that you play and you start doing something. That impression, you're impressing people. Some people will say that you are hard working. It's not on your plan. Most of the things you see the government doing now, those things are not on plan, but they want to impress the citizen. And hurting us. Many of us are hurting us because those things that later we're supposed to take it step by step, we are not doing that. We're impressing people. What we want to impress? What we want to prove? It's better you do your little job and do it professionally.
Because most of the
doing all over, and those things you're doing, you just jumping over there.
Wow. Professor Zaulo.
Yeah.
As you working in your seat there here, what is running through your mind?
I'm struggling to follow the conversation. Really struggling. Because I see people going helter-skelter and taking on one issue, jumping from it, leaving it, going to the other one. But I think tonight they brought a very important issue, which I see them shying away from to go to another one. And then also my reservation about people not understanding our jurisprudence system in Liberia, that a person is presumed innocent unless proven guilty in a court of competent jurisdiction. So it's uncivil to refer to people as criminal when the person has not been convicted. So we got to be very careful with the lack of abuse on others. But here's the thing. I think both of these guys have
Professor Zaro, Professor, let me cut you there as a legal student. In a government, it have a public opinion. Government, the nature of government, people's are the whole government. That's what they call accountability. That's why you have a court of public opinion. So if the government responsibility to address itself, of course, if the government is not giving information to the general will create information because they want to hear from the government. Of course.
That's why they have that's why they have some adjectives like alleged. You know, until the person is proven, they will be able to attach those adjectives to a civil discourse. Because a lot of people listening to the show, it's not just us here. So we gotta be very careful with on other people. That's what I'm just trying to say to you. But I think you guys made a very good point here. The point you were making about accountability and transparency, those are all important things. Those are some of the things that the people that were said they wanted when the TRC. And those are important things. Now, I'm not going to tell you sit there and tell you that no government official has declared. I know for sure President we have declared. I know for sure we have declared his asset. He declared his asset. He ran to be a senator. I don't know what the law says. That if a person has declared an asset.
Mr. Zaro, can I ask you a question?
No, hold on. Let him end his point. Just take down.
Let him come in.
No, yeah, just end your point now.
Okay, it's okay. Yeah, so I don't know whether what the law says regarding people redeclaring the asset when they are occupying a different position. But I know for sure that President William he ran to be a senator. Now, like I said, I agree with you that there has to be transparency and accountability in government, so as to prevent situations like war and to strengthen, to solidify peace and reconciliation. I agree with you in that direction. That's something we all should be working towards. And to hear that you're just a boycott, I think you are in a very special place to support an individual Liberian government for over 40 years. And in those 40 years, that government never performed. So I think you have a very important to play now, so that we can start to have this kind of discussion. But 100%, there has to be accountability, integrity, transparency in government, so as to encourage civil servants to work hard, so as to encourage the young people to go to school and want to learn. All those things, those are very important things.
Okay, Mr. Doe.
Yeah, Mr. So, what I had problem with Professor Zaro is conflict of interest, Professor Zaro. The government, if you read the World Bank asset declaration, the requirement of asset declaration for public official to declare the asset, and you should also read the conflict of interest, where conflict of interest comes in. The president cannot declare asset and go make it secret. Of course, that's an asset declaration. You give it the government, of course, how many one of these full estate in the country, let's say how many generally I get access to the piece of paper that the president gave. So right now, can you tell me how much money the president has? If it's not good declaration, the president wrote a piece of paper, he paid off a piece of form that he gave it to one of the government agencies, because the government declared what. First of all, when you talk about transparency, if first of all the asset declaration that the president declared asset is completed, that conflict of interest, you had a massive conflict of interest. The president declared asset and go give it to another person within the government. After the asset declaration, you should make it public. You don't expect for people to go there and sue you for you to make an asset public. What you call transparency? Then what is it different? You need to change. Of course, after you should give the paper to everybody, because asset declaration should be public. This is will be a public document, public information. Nobody know how much money the president making. Can you tell me the president's salary? No. So it just go beyond the asset declaration. The president declaring asset. The president should go beyond. First of all, in the United States, you know how much money the president of the United States made. But in Liberia, you cannot tell how much money the president is making on all the massive benefit and ingredient, all these things. It had no accountable. Even so when the budget that go to the president office, nobody understands the nature of the budget that went to the president office. In a country when people spend, a public official when they spend, they make it public, they get a receipt. The public, the receipt. If they go for dinner, they also tell we're going for a state dinner. They have a receipt. That's what they call accountability. No, somebody giving piece of paper and going and filling a piece of form and giving it to a government agency and telling the person protect it from by all costs. Don't show to nobody. That's an asset declaration.
Okay, Ambassador Dan.
Yes.
I think it's one of the value break of this whole thing here that we've been talking from time to time here is this 2014 code of conduct in line with this 1986 Constitution, and which said about people that they have abused. The declarations of assets. Do you think the president, based on the information that were posted out there, do you think it was extensive? Did that put the case to a rest? As the head of the national government in Liberia, for anybody to emulate, to say, yeah, the president has made a full declaration, so this minister or this other senior government official will be compelled to do this thing. Was that an asset declaration, you think?
One of the things I wanted to understand tonight is if you want to make a change, don't wait people pressure you before you do it. If you always do that, it will be that the people forcing you to do something. If I want to make change, if I get to Liberia, I want to make the change. Whatever I promise, I will not want for people to ask me to do. I will do it so that it will be like I'm really ready to do it. Those are some of the promises that President Weah made to the people, because we saw him as a sincere president. Somebody who came from outside of politics could make the difference. So he couldn't have even wait for people to ask him continually before the pressure rising before he do it. He could have done it by himself willingly. Then people will have a free mind saying, yes. Those are some of the things we're talking about. Government cannot continue to even get people who are paying in government, but people from outside, they can also come in government to make a change. Let me give you the example. When Darrell Delon came, at that time, I was propagating heavily for the government, trying to put their case there, to preach on some of the things they do. We all were against Darrell Delon. But what Darrell Delon did was this, Senator Delon did. He declared an asset which was $30. We took it that we were making fun out of him, but he did the right thing. To tell us this is what I have.
Do you believe whatever he posted at the time, the declarations of the information?
No, $3 nobody. When you talk about declaration, it's not a physical cash you have in your bank account.
And that's what I'm going to.
It's your property, the asset of the property you have, the value of the property you own. If you ask me now to tell you what I have,
be a collateral if you want to get in trouble. And very few people understand that.
Yeah, Mr. So, come, I'm coming. If you ask me right now to declare my asset, I will try. Okay, I have a horse that worth 150,000 or 150,000 in the state of Wisconsin. Okay, that my property is in my name. I have a car that I'm driving. The car value is not a cash in my account. Some of the things the food in the Liberian people will, in fact, those people who are not educated, when you talk about asset and now the physical cash you have in your account, whatever you have, you put the value of those things together and give it to the people. They will accept whether they
including your liability.
Yeah, whether the horse I'm talking about, the 150,000 a worth, the horse I'm talking about, they will make assessment to come up with a conclusion and say, yeah, I took the message, this is the value I have. Okay, I have horse in Liberia. You will go and look at the value of the horse. How much you think that horse can build?
After the process.
But you can't come and tell people, say, $3. No. So that means like people don't even know what they want. They were clapping their hands. Oh, they may declare. No, it was not declaration. It was not declaration. Now, the recent one you did, I saw $90,000. The $90,000, it was included in the horse, that he owned. Why he could not mention a horse in the beginning? From the beginning, he's supposed to mention the horse. How much
Hold on 1 second. You were talking for the government. Did you question that? And this is where I have problem with the very. Hold on, I'm going to give you a chance. And this is where I have problem with people who profess to speak for the government, people who profess to speak for the opposition, show hosts, and all of those. They become very selective in their talking point and leave everything that way. Why didn't make that argument at the time?
Yeah, to admit tonight, I didn't talk about what I'm saying tonight, and I didn't see anybody who was brave enough to come and say, Darrell Dillon, this thing you put here is not what we call declaration of asset. It's just the money in your bank account you're talking about. Nobody did it. My very say I didn't do it. So we were wrong on that because we could have put our case to the Liberian people. We say, no, this is not what we call asset. Darrell Dillon own a house. He own a house. We want to know how much cost the house that he living in. The man driving car, anything you get, even a cell phone you own, we need to know the value of the thing because of your property. We need to add everything up. But we didn't do it. That was the big mistake. And at this time, we need to be critical now to point out to the Liberian people the mistake that we are making in the past, and we'll try to correct. Because we will not continue to go like that throughout. Nothing we're going to achieve. Nothing we're going to achieve.
Okay, Professor Zaulo.
Yeah.
Come here, be the D maker here, because this declaration, most of the talking point here has been people taking the symbolic level. We say, okay, this is what I have. They don't even look at the your liability, because everything has to be blended and find the collateral in case if they're talking about my asset here, everything has to be appraised. Everything they're going to look at what I have. They're going to look at my liability, what is equilibrium to whatever they're going to be offering me. So in the future, if there was any potential problem, we say yes, we can trust Alfonso XYZ because this is what he has. This is his liability, and even if we make all of the calculation, we can still hold him up to that. Are you surprised of this sort of talking point here tonight?
No, well, like I said, it's just that the guys are making it a little hard because they go in here and there. Because Ambassador Down just started with something about Darrell Dillon, and then towards the end it shifted. But yeah, look, that's what I said. You got to go back and read what the law says about declaration of asset. Got to go back and read the law. I hear. And for me personally, I think it's important for public officials to declare their asset. If you want to hear that from me, I think it's important. It has not been happening in Liberia. It never happened during the Ellen Johnson Sirleaf time for the most part. It never happened. It hasn't been happening the way I would want to see it happen in the George Weah administration. Those are things that we aspire to. Those are things we believe can help to curtail corruption and graft into the system. So those are important things. Those are things that will prevent war. Those are things that will allow for the more equitable distribution of the wealth of the country. So I agree with those things. But like we all are saying, we got to go back, read the law, understand what the law is, and then there has to be proper training of people who will receive those documents. So it has to be able to be reported to the people. I think about it is, in Liberia, there's Freedom of Information Act. I don't know whether any journalists have ever utilized that to go and delve deeper into the president's asset declaration or any other declaration. So they have those instruments that are there. So people can use it. I'm not certain that people have used those instruments. Nobody's expecting that.
Professor, fair to mention here, and I'll give you your point here to argue. And that's the difficult things. The extreme circumstances our colleagues are working. People, the bulletin, government officials, public officials, ordinary Liberian, bullet these people on purpose because they take advantage of situation. What I'm saying, there should be a place or there should be a place where this information should be visible, that you don't even need to ask any question. I talked to Tompo the other day, who is the press public affairs director at the National Legislature. Do I need to be calling people all around to get a lawmaker name to know how much my lawmaker is making? No. Where is the official website of the lawmakers that even if they have their project, that's where we're supposed to go? That even if my constituent or my lawmaker is doing something and I want to make a contribution or I want to share information to find people, I should go there. I don't have to call 555 people. When I want to find Jack Ray or David Cicilline, I know which number to call. I know the secretary number, and they will book me down. That's how we can. Are these people doing it? When you call, they say go to so place.
Yeah.
So the government also helped to sow this sort of suit that potentially is leading to this sort of conspiracy, and for us to be making a gas game. So they are now laying down the you there, you know that when you want anything from your state here, you know exactly where to go. But our people, they are not doing that. And regrettably, what is so sad about this thing, these are very people that learn into Western country, they stay here, they practice here, they know exactly how the system works. But when they go on the other side, then the somersault 565 degree. Why?
And those are the things I talked about. Those are the exact things I talked about. Even though the president, the executive has absolutely no control over the legislature. So the executive cannot constrain a legislature to make some of those information you're talking about. But
the executive is not even doing that. The executive is not setting the precedent. So how?
I don't know whether the executive is not stretching it. Because like I said to you, they have the Liberian Anti-Corruption Commission. I don't know whether any journalists have decided to utilize the Freedom of Information Act to go in and check on information. I don't know whether they have done it. In the absence of that, I cannot tell you that it's not doing it. So I cannot do so. I cannot say so because I don't know. I don't have that information available to me. But that's exactly what I said to you guys at the beginning. When Ambassador Dan was talking about reconciliation, everything, I told you there was a confluence of factors and forces that can bring about reconciliation. And these are the exact things we're talking about now. What can bring about reconciliation and peace? It's not going in an auditorium and getting somebody to stand in front of the crowd and preach to the people. It's not that. That could be one of those things that you could possibly do, but that's not what would necessarily bring about reconciliation. What brings about reconciliation is, for example, people respecting the code of conduct, people making asset declaration, or the Liberian Anti-Corruption Commission is strengthened to the extent that it can go, like we see in the U.S. here. I remember a man, there's a representative, I think from Louisiana, Representative Jefferson or so, where the FBI stormed his house. When he was refrigerator, he was able to uncover money has been, taken. So we need an empowerment of those institutions, to be able to fight this thing. It's not just going around talking about reconciliation. People gathering together and engaging in the general verbose of what this president or that president. It's deeper than that. We got to build the institution. We got to improve the way we educate people in the country, so that they understand that when a government official comes to you, give you $50, it's not generosity. That $50 actually might have belonged to you in the first place. So those are the things we are talking about. And those are the things.
So let me come in quickly, Mr. Professor Dauro. When you continue to base on this thing, so are we forgetting about the war that we fought in this country? How can we go back to put this thing behind us?
Let me tell you something. Let me explain this to you about the war. What was the war? The war has been over more than 12 years ago.
Crime is never late.
I don't support crime. I don't support.
So let's do the let's set up the doors here. Amos joining this conference here. Let me ask you. Let me do this quick round table run here so we know exactly. Mr. Doe.
Yeah.
Do you support the war crime codes or then economic crime code for Liberia?
Yeah, of course, Mr. Su. I'm a big fan because it's the only way to curtail the crime in Liberia. Economic and war crime code is economic and the war crime code is neither in Liberia more than before.
Okay. Ambassador Dan.
Yeah.
Do you have contrary view to what Mr. Doe is saying? Do you support the war and economic crime court for Liberia?
No, my point has always been reconciliation. We're using what we call restorative justice, okay, to bring our people together. Where we get people involved, we hold the people who did the act accountable. They have to be remorseful to reach out to the people and ask for mercy, so we can iron this thing out and let it go.
Do we have to ask them? They don't have that sort of conscience. They can come to the Liberian people. Hey, and we know the war took place on a extreme circumstances, and most of these people that you see did whatever they did at the time. People were in desperation. That you can't push me across against this war. When I can't go through that war, I simply can't go. It's so some sort of self-defense. But their argument, Mr. Doe, their argument, the lack of empathy and the justification that has been out there, it makes it very difficult. I will come to you. Pa George just coming to this forum here. Mr. Amos George, welcome.
Thank you, and hello to Mr. Doe, Ambassador Roosevelt, and Professor Zawolo.
Okay, so I guess you've been following the trend online, and here we are. Get set to wait. Let me see what Mr. Doe has to say. Mr. Doe, what you say?
Mr. So, when people talk about we try to reconciliation, then I just disagree, because one chancellor in jail, then I just free chancellor and go to Liberia and have a genuine reconciliation. So you put on one war crime code, you don't want to prosecute other people.
Okay, but to get a point right too, the reason chancellor is in jail is not for Liberia, which of course is amazing. That's a different story by itself. Chancellor is in here today not because of Liberia, that you were aware as well, right? But it's interesting. The manner in which the international community they took that case is quite amazing, and I hope at the bottom of the line and to say it was just only Sierra Leone. So I just want to bring that point up. So
Mr. So, if you look at chancellor argument, the argument of chancellor, people say they just use Sierra Leone as a mean, because Liberian never, if it was Liberian by itself, the chancellor should not be taken to the head, because Liberian prevent chancellor from going. But the international community, because all chancellor came, if you listen to all the trial, they never asked him what he did in Sierra Leone. Everything was based on what he done in Liberia. So technically, chancellor was prosecuted over the crime he committed in Liberia. Let me just say this thing, Mr. So. If you have people like Prince Johnson and all those people that start this war, other than they enjoying the fruit of what is by killing these people. I'm not a fan of Prince Johnson. Mr. Zabu, from Nima County, my grandmother from Nima County. But if you have made a Prince Johnson in power, Prince Johnson and all those people that made Alaji Kroma and all those people that led the killing of people in the country, Councilor Mr. Ambassador Roosevelt, I want you to tell me what type of reconciliation as somebody that Prince Johnson killed his father before him or her, what kind of reconciliation you want the president to have with people that Prince Johnson? Can you please tell the audience?
Yeah, thank you so much. Mr. Doe, I think this thing we're talking about is not illegal.
1 second.
Peace and reconciliation is legal. It's a legal issue. And other countries have done it before, and it has worked very fine for them. The example will be right here in Rwanda. Okay? And even the country that you're living in, Canada, reconciliation went in that country. Peace and reconciliation went in that country. They use restorative justice to settle among themselves in that country. Probably you are not read that part yet to know, but it's legal matter. We can do that.
Okay.
No, but Mr. Dan, I disagree with you on that. I just disagree. In this country, people that went to war, that killed people in Canada, they were prosecuted. In America, people that, if you go right now in the United States, kill a citizen in the United States, what are that?
Yeah, but some of those people are also gonna. Yeah, before I go to Pat George.
Yeah, so it's so interesting that sometimes, Ambassador Dan, I'm glad that you're coming back to what I said in the beginning. One of my first statements I made here was that when the Peace and Reconciliation, Truth and Reconciliation Commission traveled across Liberia, what the Liberian people wanted was restorative justice. You remember me saying that? And you debunked that. Now you have come back to it.
Professor.
No, no, I didn't debunk that. I know about that.
Professor.
Yeah.
Do you think that piece of that document came from the TRC? Do you think it's reality represents the reactions or reflections, the emotions, the mindset of the Liberian people? Were they extensive? Do you think they really got those views from cross sections of Liberian people? Do you think that one?
Yes, they got a views from cross section Liberian people. The report was tinted. Because the Reconciliation Commission itself needed reconciliation. I don't know whether you follow it very closely. There were numerous fights.
I know, yeah.
Involving members of the commission. So they themselves needed to reconcile themselves. So when such things takes place, it undermines the credibility of the report. So that's a concern. But there were some people on that commission, people like Mr. Stewart, people like Sheikh Kafumba Kone. Those are people, for some of us, we have a great deal of respect. And I participated in a show, listened to Chief Sheikh Kafumba Kone, and he was very clear about what transpired, what they listened to, what they heard when they traveled all across Liberia. And it was very clear. Liberian people were not so much about arresting people, putting them in jail, and convicting them for war crimes. They were more interested in restorative justice. Like I said, doing the things that were war, having transparency and accountability within government, or spreading the wealth of the country so that not only one sector of the country receives all the wealth while the sector does all the work. Those are some of the things that people are talking about. All right, so those are the kind of things that we love to see. Now, but let me get quickly. People call me most of the time and say I'm so dismissive about the United States. Let's be very careful when you guys are referring to the United States and Canada as a paragon. American soldiers were in Iraq. They raped, they killed civilians who they caught, not on the war front. They caught them, citizens, civilians, they caught some civilians and executed them. And nothing happened to those soldiers. They were never punished for war crimes. So let's be very careful about when we're using United States or Canada as a paragon. These are places where so many things happen. Okay, so they are not example for us to follow.
Even the recent guy in jail, the former president just granted him
pardon. So let's be very careful about those things. And besides that, we have a totally different situation. Look, I do not support those who kill people in Liberia. I happen to not have been there for the war. I wasn't in Liberia for the war in 1990. I wasn't there. I didn't see it. But I know story. Ambassador Dan knows the area where my father comes from, Quang Nima County. But the people of Quang or the Lao clan, they were accused of not being supportive of Charles Taylor. So let me tell you some personal story. My cousin was beheaded in our yard in Kakata, beheaded because it was alleged that he recognized him from Quang, and they were some of the boys from Quang who resisted MPFL. Now, second story, I'll tell you again. My father, the Charles Taylor, he made the Ivorian government to arrest and detain my father, I think was former Representative Johnson and a group of other people, Nibayans, prominent people from the Lao clan area, arrested them for no reason and detained them with the intention to force them to go to Liberia to execute them. So look, I have history of pain that was dealt to me in that war. What I'm saying, that war has been over. It's been over. The harms have been done. Those people who committed some of those atrocities, they are dying here and there. The punishment they have faced will be far more than any punishment you can inflict on them, carrying them to trial. Right now, what we should be talking about is our new generation. The children in Liberia cannot read and write. Whose future are we? Can we put that money that we use to spend on a war crimes court? Can we put it into universal early childhood education? Can we put it into free healthcare for Every child under 18 years of age, look, let's think about spending the money of our country wisely. Because those things are behind. These are ugly parts of our history. I did not like it. I enjoy it. Now it's about the future. That's why I do not support the war crimes court.
Okay.
The future of Liberia.
Okay. Let me bring in Pa Joyce here. Pa Joyce.
Yeah, before let me come in a little bit, Mr. So before you bring Pajo, let me see. Professor Saru, I think you and myself saying the same thing. I have been actually preaching for peace and reconciliation. That is my stand, and I'm not going to change for tonight or anytime. This is what I've been saying over and over. Like you regularly said about Wayne, I know the story very well. Even my step sister, my stepmom from Wayne, her little brother was also killed in that incident. That the people in that place, they were resisting. They used to call a tainted member, the people who take information from the rebel to give it to those soldiers. Okay, so they look at the boy, they accuse him that he was one of those taking information, and this innocent child know nothing about. He was my friend with childhood, because when his mom was, in fact, his sister was my father in Yas, we were all there. So they killed this boy in CNC. Okay, just for that thing that happened, they were killing the people in that place for no reason, just for what they said. So, but what things have passed, we need to put it behind us,
Yeah.
The only way we do that, reach out to the community. People still remember those things. Reach out to the community, make a team. Let team go and reach out to the people. Have time of meeting with the people. Let people speak on their minds so that they will put their grief out. Okay? But we can't just let it go. The president said he was going to do it. He doesn't support the war crime code. But how can you just leave it like that open? He had to do something. What he planned to do, we don't know. How he want to do it, we don't know. Time is going.
Okay, time is going. This is just to the of Pa Joyce here, and I'm giving you a good talking point here this evening here. The time is winding down, and the essence of this here, we'll try to do this routinely. So, and I just thought about this time, the government, besides out there, because significant portions of Liberians in the outside.
I'm talking about time tonight. I said the government time is running out. That's what I'm saying, though.
No, I know. I understand that's a different thing. I don't want to keep you guys here for the rest of the. What I'm saying here, I mean the time. Pa Joyce.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Reconciliation, war crime code, economic crime code. All of us in the diaspora, we have all inserted our views, our opinion, our talking point here, and it has been quite a long while. What sort of approach can we use to find a common ground to say, okay, this is what we want to put on the table, and perhaps may our representation to national government, if it required a piece of legislation to go and revisit something, is that something possible? Do you think can be done on planet Earth, considering how divisive and how polarized the politics of Liberia has been and it is so far?
No, it will not be done. President Weah has said it already. He said that he's not interested. He said he's not interested in war crime, but he never asked for it. Those were his words. But when you're camping in Lofa, if you look for the tape, you find it. He said that no Liberian blood will be wasted in vain when you're campaigning. But when he ascended to the presidency, he said he didn't ask for it. People can choose between development and war crime code. When he came from the UN, he said he never talked about it. He didn't ask for it. So to me, that door is closed. But let me say this. Everybody telling the story. The Dubaro massacre, my 1-year-old son was burned. Never saw his grave, never saw the body. Dubaro massacre. A 1-year-old child of mine was burned. In that massacre, never saw the grave. And the thing I want to ask people say it's behind us. Okay. But what about the crime that took place in Germany? Kosovo, all the areas. They are there. When people do things and they are not held liable or responsible, the possibility of other group coming to do it is hardly there. These people talking about what happened in Liberia, people did it at the will. Many people did it at the will. Someone living like during the war. Why someone not pick up gun? But people took pick up gun to kill people. Probably they felt that they had done something and nothing at the time. To come back home. Yeah, Prince Johnson that go on radio say, I didn't kill anybody. If you think I kill anybody, take me to court. All the guy goes on radio, they say it. So I want those who talk about reconciliation, why they don't talk to these people? Have people gone to them who committed the atrocity against us? Have people ever approached them? So it's like we should go and start begging Prince Johnson or Haji Kroma or George Dewey, the rest of all the other guys. We should go and start begging them after killing our people and killing our family. We should go now to beg them to reconcile. I wonder why some people think like that. Yeah, it's the issue. If as long I'm living, I will continue to speak about war and economic quote in Nigeria because of the disparity in Liberia that what took us to the war. And today, the same thing is happening. But yet, what people don't want to question those people in authority because they got some connection. They say, oh, I don't know about it. If it happened, I don't know about it. The same thing that was happening in the past and left that are up the path is today what's happening. And people, because people got connection, I think they don't want to attack those people or they don't want to say it to them. They don't want to call their name. And it's the ugly path again coming back.
So,
everybody. Oh, you know what happened? It passed it behind no way until those people take full responsibility of what they did. Then we can move forward. How can you reconcile when people don't admit to things that they have done? How can you reconcile? You talk about Rwanda. We all know the story of Rwanda. People came out and said, look, I'm sorry I did that to you. Forgive me.
Yeah.
People want to make a Rwanda when people in Liberia are not taking responsibility for what they did to us. And people expect us to go and beg them. For me, no way. I do not reconcile that, and I would never.
Okay. All right. Let's. I think we'll try to find time to continue this sort of conversation with the next 15 minutes to go, so that we can have it. Let me just put this number out here so we can have a take here. So, gentlemen, let me ask you while we're waiting for phone call. A very consequential election hangs over Liberia 2023. I yet to see any of these people, politicians and actors, making full commitment. It was done the last time around by the president. Politicians always use political statement correctness, and when they need people vote, they say anything crazy because they want to go through the system here. Let me go to the phone call here quick, and I will come back to you. Caller, good evening. What's your name and where are you calling from?
How you doing, Mr. Trevor? This is Mr. Dwala. How you doing, sir?
Hey, Dwala. What's up, my man? How's Sunday?
Not too bad. We're grateful. Look,
okay.
I called specifically for the professor. You know, there is something dangerous about the likes of the Professor Zawolo. He was not in Liberia. He doesn't understand the carnage these people met out against the system. Having reconciled. Don't have working in
Hey, Eduardo, what's up, man? Okay. Quarter, please hold on one second, Eduardo. 952, please lower your monitor. 952, please lower your monitor. So, getting feedback. Yeah.
The issue.
Yeah, hello now.
Thank you.
Hello.
Yeah. Go ahead, Eduardo.
Okay, the issue of restorative justice. These people still work in government. They're benefiting off the system. If we want to talk about restorative justice, they should not be in the government. President, we can act on that right now. But I want to say something. You know, the issue of governance in Liberia, people think it's a joking matter. Everything the president does affects everything within the country. Look, I was listening to Brother Don, and Brother Don was talking about, you know, saying that they did not declare his house. Now it's not true. Go ahead and read the original asset declaration. He did do that. We have to stop these petty lies. You know, Liberia is not something we should be talking about mutually. These are serious issues we're talking about in the country. There are steps the president must take. Leadership is not a quasi thing. It's a serious matter. You can't pick and choose where you lead. If the country has an issue, you have to address it. Especially if a majority of the people in the country are demanding needs a degree of addressing. If you want to do restorative justice, you can start there right now. You can bar these people immediately from working in government. Let them go to the court. Don't pay them. Take certain steps. A lot of people were harmed in that country. Professor Zaro was not in Liberia. He does not understand Liberia. He is so far removed from the conditions in Liberia. Sometimes I don't know what he's protecting. It baffles my mind that he's an educated man. The way he talks about the issue. Whatever you are protecting, it is not in the interest of Liberia. Okay? If you're protecting something, it doesn't favor Liberia. Grow up and open your mind, Professor. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. All right.
It looked like
Let me go back here, folks. Let's keep it straight to the point. In 952 number 9077. Go ahead. 45 seconds. What's your point?
All right, thank you, sir. Thank you very much for bringing me on. As I listen to your guest, the idea of a war crime, I think, has been out there for a very long time. But one thing I really want to enjoy is, the professor just really made a solid point. I know sometimes when you talk about, war crime, and people see it in a way that, people don't want justice to be done to Liberia. But few things that we have to consider is that it's war crime. What kind of war crime code do we want? Does it serve our interest at a point? Do we want a real, true reconciliation instead of war crime?
Mm-hmm. Oh, there's this guy. Oh my goodness. This guy, I put this caller off, and go ahead, caller. What's your name? Sorry, 952 number. Just call back. Caller, are you there? Go ahead.
You mean our 346 number?
Yeah, that's the number on. Yeah, go ahead quickly. I think your number came in, and everybody went out. Go ahead quickly.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Phil. And thanks to your guest studio tonight. This is Ketevi's number, and I'm calling you from Texas.
Mm.
As it relates to the declaration of access, I think that's one of our major problems in Nigeria. And you were asking the question as to whether the genetics are acquiring certain we have access.
Mm.
I listened to one of their programs where they said it's tried on. Hello?
Yeah, we'll listen. Go ahead.
I was speaking.
Now 5 right after you will come on. Yeah, sorry, the line went off.
Public Africa
Okay.
have tried on so many occasions to acquire the we are access. Even wanted to court, they were denied the asset. And the asset declaration, the code of conduct is simple on the asset declaration. The code of conduct says you should declare the asset. Why is clear? Did not say you should publish it, but there's a Freedom Act that allows you to acquire this asset.
And you should know where to go and find it, but you can't find it. You go there.
That's what I'm saying. Exactly. They are not allowed to have access to those things. That's one of the problems. And sometimes we just take a look at some of these things and take it a bit simple. Right now, as we speak, Radio France International, the English component, is investigating Georgia's access. Go on their website right now, it is there. They have a breakdown whether they are breaking down his access from the day you are playing in front up to cover up to the time, even the current 2014. They are not helping us to do something that we cannot do for ourselves. You see? And Ambassador Darwin said that when they don't came to the house of telling the first time he did not declare assets, he even included his house, the value of his house, and the value of his car. The 3 page document out there. Take your time and go and look for it. You find it. It is there. The value of his house. Only the chat component you are taking a look at. Go back, you will see it. It is there.
All right. Thank you so much.
On the issue of and can I speak a little bit on the issue of the War Economic Crimes Code?
Yeah, 30 seconds. We are out of time. Let me saw.
On the issue of the War Economic Crimes Code, I can tell you for Liberia, if we do not have a total war and economic crimes code, this country will keep going the way we are going. Every time we'll be having arguments. You see the life of Friend Johnson. You guys talk about who is a friend to me. Those guys will go out there and say and boast. We have done this. We have done this. The only other reason why sometimes people take it away. They talk about who says you want to war economic crimes code. I don't know if whether he's doing it from his heart, but if he's doing it from his heart, that's a good thing.
Okay, thank
when
you.
When the life of Friend Johnson will go out there and boast, they did that, and nothing is coming from part of it. And like, we can't go somewhere without having a general war and economic crimes code. Will not work.
Okay,
I can tell you that.
I gotta go. Let me go to the next person here before my guests have the time to. Thank you so much. Okay, 952 number. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, sorry, the line went off. Go ahead. I will be going back to my guests.
Yeah, so as I was speaking, I know, many of us here, especially in and out of Liberia, were affected greatly by the war.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's time now that we look forward what benefits Liberia. What are the War Crime Code or the true reconciliation benefit Liberia? Because if you have a true reconciliation with no motive that
when you say true reconciliation, break it down a little bit here. In what context?
I am speaking in context like we have in South Africa, where people came and admitted some of the things that they did.
Right.
And they genuinely apologize without, a hidden agenda that these people will be held liable or they will take them to the war crime court. People will be able to come forward and apologize for what they did.
So quickly here, let's have an interaction here. Do you think these people get the guts to, even from their tone, from their language, no sense of empathy, no sense of remorse in them? Will they do that even if we were to call for that? Or do we have to drag them to that point or compel them to do? Then that seems not authentic.
I think people will be willing to do that if the true and reconciliation has a meaning, as opposed to what Vodia then conducted.
Okay.
Because what Vodia then conducted was something that was setting up for the war crime code. So people were protected. People were protected instead of coming forward. But if it was a genuine true reconciliation, where people will go to admit what they did and get an apology for it, then I think people were genuinely going to come forward. But with the hidden agenda of what Vodia then did, everybody felt that maybe anything they could say would be used against them, so people were protective of it. But what I'm saying here is that I am not justifying any of these guys' action that it was a good action. I lost more people in Liberia than any other person that I can say. I lost everything that I have. I lost my parents, and I'm here now alone, But what I'm saying here is that Liberia, we should put Liberia first. Because a war crime code, are we taking Liberia and taking it for them and kill them to the head go to the war crime code? Are we also going to impose most of these people, the outsider that was involved in the war, that supplied the war, that also sponsored the war? Are we going to? You're not going to tell me you're going to?
So many companies.
Or everybody from the United States will come to the war crime code. You're not going to do that. That's not a foreseeable thing that you're going to do. So the best thing we can do for Liberia, like the professor have said, is that we all got affected in the war. Everybody got affected in the war. Let's have a general reconciliation where the people will have consequences, that they will be banned, they even take part in government, and they will admit what they do. If you're talking about war crime, we're going to do that for long, because the illusion that most of our outside here failed, that the true war crime is going to happen in Liberia is just unforeseeable. Because if you have a war crime, most of these people. There are a lot of factors. There are a lot of international hand in the war in Liberia.
All right. Thank you. Thank you.
So those things we have to look at that in context. So the general reconciliation is the way to go.
The last time, thank you so much. I think last time our data check was almost 30. How many $1 million to execute one war crime code? Can you imagine? So it's not just what I'm saying it. There are a lot of components. There are things involved into it, but it's a good discussion here. Let me go to this 267 number here, 6381, and I gotta go back right after this number. I gotta go back to my guys here. Hopefully we're gonna be having this, and I think the last caller here to really put a nail on the head here. Are you there?
Hello.
Yeah. Go ahead quickly.
Yeah, my name is Sifos Andrew.
Okay, Mr. Andrews, welcome to the show. Go ahead. Oh my God! I cut this guy off. I cut this guy off. I don't know why some of these people get some sort of number when other people call. Then it just go the. Okay, Christopher, go ahead. Yeah. Hello.
Yeah, Mr. Sue, how are you?
Yeah, go ahead quickly. I think the other guy number line cut off. Go ahead.
Oh, all right. Well, I just want to say thank you to our brothers in studio there. So you know that.
Yeah.
For me, I believe in reconciliation. First of all, I believe in like I've always been saying, and I will say.
Christopher, go to the point. We are extremely running out of time.
I don't know if you can hear me.
We're hearing you, but go to the point. Just go straight to the point. Yeah.
Okay. I said that unity begins with with the truth, and the truth demands accountability. You know, for me, I'm in favor of war crime court, but at the same time, we gotta do it right. You know, we gotta do it right.
Hold on one second. Is that been your argument from time to time, or is that something tonight just?
Well, that's always been my argument. Even when the lady, when Madam Washington came on your show.
Yeah. Okay.
When Madam Washington came on your show way back, I told her that she had to. The committee have to partner with the president. They have to sit down. They got to speak with the president. They got to partner with him so that he and them can work on the way forward. But if they're going to say that they will not, if they will say, oh, we're not going to sit down with the president, or we're not going to partner with the government, then it will be very difficult for them to get what they want. You know, reconciliation is a good thing.
Okay, go ahead.
First of all, yeah, but we must first of all have more look at truth and then accountability. You know, but Mr. Sue, if we get this thing wrong, it will make it to appear like we are witch hunting specific people. Then it will not look good for our country. But if people commit acts of atrocity, people that violated our people that enter our country, denigrated our people, I mean, people that kill unnecessarily just because they love killing, these people should be held accountable. I'm in favor of that.
All right.
What I don't want is for us to just go about, you know, witch hunting people and putting people away. I really don't agree on that one.
Okay.
So we got to do it right.
Thank you so
much.
much.
And the other thing I want to speak on is
my
brother, Ambassador Don. Ambassador Don got to either decide what he want to do. Either you resign from the party, either but you cannot say I suspend myself.
Well, now,
and then it's like you want to have your cake and eat it.
That's it.
You know, you can't say my 1 foot inside and my 1 foot outside. Either you say I'm outside, and then you're free to advocate and speak on their belief and things that you want to change. But if you are not ready yet to stay away, then the suspension, I would say to my brother, you should reinstate yourself and so that we can ask the government to do what is right. But you
don't you see, Christopher, don't you see there's a red flag the man already raising so that it okay, man, thank you. Let leave that one. The man said he want to talk. We'll talk on that a little bit. Thank you so much.
Mr. Sue, decision making got to be decisive. You got to take a first thing. Either you are in or you are not. Either you are against or you are for. You got to say, I'm not in the party anymore, and you leave. And you go do your advocacy and speak against the ill of society. Speak truth to power. But if you say, I suspend myself, but then 1 minute I will be for them, and 1 minute I'm against them, then you will not appear real.
Okay, thank you so much.
You got to either reinstate himself. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay. Look, all right, 212, go ahead, and I got to go back. I think you got caught off. Go ahead quickly. 212, are you there? 212 number, are you there?
Yeah, Mr. So I'm here.
Yeah, okay, go ahead. You spoke before?
No.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes. My name is Amadou Dakaboy Blam, calling from New York, New York.
Hey, man. Amadou, man. What's up?
You see, most of your political analysts are biased. One of them is Mr. Amos. One Amos, you guys always have that. Look, here's the thing. If the war crime court issues in Liberia rest, does it really rest on the shoulders of the president? Is it president? We are responsibility. Is he responsible for carrying war crime court in Liberia?
It's the government responsibility to give the green light to allow it to take place.
What's about your House of Parliament?
No.
You see, Mr. So, this is long overdue in the first place. Look all around you in the entire war. Which country fought war and dragged the issue of punishing the perpetrators for this long? Which country? All the countries that fought war punish the perpetrator right away. Right away. For example.
Right.
We never did it.
Most of the advocates now, they not talk even when Erin became president. When she became president, they did not even put stop to her from becoming president.
But Amadou,
when
that
she
shouldn't
is
be
the
a
main
justification.
architect of that war, in fact, they hear her and allow her to even rule for 2 terms. None of them talk as they are doing today in this administration. And you don't do that. The president does not have the sole responsibility of calling for war crime court. Even your House of Parliament is mute on this issue. As Prince Johnson read it, said, it's a fiasco. We ain't going nowhere. We're not going nowhere. There's no war crime court going in Liberia. Even though it's not necessary that those people that kill us should go in vain.
No, it's necessary for you, Dagaboy.
Because
It's necessary for you.
Yesterday to punish Eddie and others, why now under this regime? So we are our own problem. We keep shooting ourselves in the leg.
Okay.
You see, if you did not do it that time, why now?
So,
that means you are
this is
picking
a very wrong concept because something did not happen yesterday. I mean, we cannot put it into perspective. Is that the overall argument or what?
But that's how the whole war functions, Mr. So.
No.
That's how the whole war functions.
So,
in America, if something is bad, they do it right away.
No, not just
war.
not just that. So this also very America. We can see
the man is not wrong.
For 30 years. So if you went to somebody's house here, I'm just using that as for example. Let me just use myself as a case study. If I went to somebody's house here and I was within that vicinity, a crime was committed. Of course, the security has all right, even though it come to me first. But after 1 month, 2 months, 1 year, 4 years, if another new revelation comes out that time into that, I will also be brought back. You know that, right?
The thing that is the reason why I have 4 cases in America that have not been solved is that they don't know the perpetrator. For example, J.F. Kennedy.
But that one thing, so it speaks to
they are never caught the killer. Those that killed J.F. Kennedy.
So now you finish shooting yourself. Now listen, now you finish shooting yourself in the foot.
I'm just telling you because they never knew and they don't know the perpetrator.
Okay.
But for us, we know our perpetrator.
You don't know.
Hold on 1 second. It's not a matter of we know.
Miracle to happen.
Okay.
It can happen.
All right. Thank you so much.
We all knew Ellen carry war and kill our people.
Okay.
And we hear her. At least if we allow her rule for the first time, the second time we rebel, we stay in our throat, the whole world going to support us.
Okay, thank you so much.
But we let her rule 2 times, then Joe, we are kind of say, oh, you poor cranko. Joe, I don't want Joe, we ain't doing nothing. That's a fiasco. Let's put it behind us and move on.
All right, thank you so much. Okay, guys, let me come back to you that say before we are you guys there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I was interested. It was very interesting.
This is quite amazing. This is how polarized the society, how divided our country is. And so it requires perseverance, tolerance, patience for us to know the background people, the argument, and what they see. To say something happened yesterday, so saying we didn't do it, it means that case cannot be pursued. That is quite wrong. But I think it was an overall great conversation. I will try to do this routinely. Here, before we make an argument here, is this something we in the diaspora, do we have voice into what is playing out in Liberia? And if we do have a voice, how can that voice, what sort of message can we send to stabilize, to down, or to come to a peaceful resolution? Don't you think the time for the government to really listen to the broader spectrums of Liberian in and out of the country, what they feel about their country, what hurt them to what has been unresolved, for us to come to a conversation? Let me start with Pa George here. I know 1 or 2 names are called. If I can get only 2 minutes each in a closing argument, so we can wrap it up and be able to have another time at some point in time. It's after 10 already. Pa George.
Yeah. So let me say this to those people who talking about outside hand was involved in Liberia, all around the world, war that take place outside hands are all being involved. So that is just for me, just a non-starter, just a nonsense. I don't buy into it. Okay. Here is the thing here. Your last speaker, for me, I don't even care for him because that's his point of view or opinion, whatever he said that he's up doing, I don't have time for him. But here's the thing here. Ellen did set up this commission. Ellen, we all knew she participated in the war. Here is the thing. Ellen refused to submit herself to that code. A President Weah, some don't understand President Weah is the president of the country. Nobody, no country can just come and do anything there without the permission of the Liberian government. You can talk about the legislature, but President Weah is the man who represents that country. A President Weah say, look, yes, I want the war crime code. I need funding. You can fund this, you come on, funding will come. But for people to come, and these are some of the same people talking, you see how people speaking. And then you expect us to say, oh yeah, the people, all right, Kumaya. No. Until others realize that other people were hurt. And for that man, maybe he don't know a history. Today, they still tracking people who committed crime in Germany, the Nazi war crime, Yugoslavia. So go and do some research before you can tell somebody that when crime committed, they don't, after several years, they don't track the people. Go and do some research, Mr. Dagabo. Go and do some research. Then you can come to do that argument. Okay? So these are the issues. And in Liberia, to say, look, somehow we have made our position clear. And the government had drawn the line. President Weah had drawn the line. So for me, I don't even succeed to talk with President Weah, but he had drawn the line already. He told that he's not interested. So if the president is not interested, what can you discuss with him again?
All right.
He's not interested. Okay. But yeah, the Jabade boy in Philadelphia said in Nigeria, he was booked for what? Immigration crime. But all the testimony of people who family were massacred right in front of them. They let you. He was charged for immigration fraud. But who came to testify? It were people who alleged that you castle their children and put people at the bottom front. Those are the people who came to testify against you. This guy, Usha is being tried in Europe for a trust that he committed in Nova. So it's the Liberian government that telling us we don't want people's voices are not considered. Go and sit down with a war crime code. That's why George and his government are telling us today.
All right. Let me go to Ambassador Dan. Again, Ambassador Dan, I want to say thank you so much for honoring this invitation. And like you requested, we're going to have that replay. I want to build a special stadium here where we're going to bring you back here to have that conversation here of your self-suspension and look at those reasons here. But what is your closing argument here? You listen to your own fellows Liberian when it comes to this war, economic crime code, the feelings, the emotions, and everything's still over the roof. Is there any way forward here to stabilize this thing?
Yes. I think, thank you for inviting us on the platform tonight. And one of the main things that we discussed, there are two things we discussed here tonight about creating the opportunity that elected official or appointed official will be able to declare their asset. And I'm standing to support, I said I'm standing to support any lawmaker who will come up with that bill that if we have not done that in the past, we should not just dwell on that and say, if we didn't do it yesterday, we can't do. No, we have to get away with those things now. Any lawmaker who will come with that bill, that before you are appointed or elected, you have to declare whatever you have to the public, and that declaration should be public. There should be website that web public, in fact, citizens can go and have access to that people anytime they want.
Exactly. Nobody needs to be calling people around.
Huh?
I say exactly. Nobody needs to be calling people around.
I will support that lawmaker. If that money I get, even if that $5, I will put it inside as my contribution. I will do. Because we don't want to continue to do what we are keep crying from continuously. The second thing we discussed is about the war crime code. I don't know whether it was part of the topic, but I brought it up. I know we listened to a lot of Liberians who called tonight to give their view on this issue. And I told you my side of this story is I'm preaching for peace and reconciliation in Liberia. The reason, there are a lot of reasons to that. The war that came, it didn't just happen. There were reasons that the war came. That's the reason a lot of people join inside to fight for their people. And some of the things that the war came about, we are seeing it today. And if we are not careful to solve the problem, to talk to people, to avoid those kind of things in Liberia, we will expect the same thing in the future. I'm not praying about it, but it might happen if we're not able to look at the problem to solve it. Solving it, one of the reasons we'll be able to solve it is, I know the president is not off a war crime code, I know for sure, but he had to do something. We that preaching for peace and reconciliation, he had to get involved to reach out to the citizen and let people understand that we can come together to let the thing go. So I think that would be my appeal to the president.
Okay.
He said it before, so we are still looking up to him. Let him try to reconcile the country before his time finishes, so that people will remember him as a peace ambassador.
All right. Okay. Suppose the president come back to say, my man, leave your suspension now, I'll listen to you. Will you do that?
Oh, the suspension is just about party issue, not like the national issue we're talking about. And I told you, I'm waiting. If you invite me, we'll come with it.
We're going to talk it off, and then we're going to have that conversation. Let me go to my own friend.
Most of the people who talking, I think they are my friends, are getting frustrated with me. They
that's the nature of this game here. One day I saw you turn and blow somebody, then everybody going like a wild geese. Let me go to Mr. Francis Doe. Francis Doe, Mr. Doe, are you there?
Yeah, Mr. So.
So, Mr. Doe, and I understand, believe me, I was one of those that were put into the trucks that were taken to the free port of Monrovia. I was one of those that were taken from the free port of Monrovia to the Carware base. I was one of those that were grouped into categories of people of ages, and faced Prince Johnson, my late brother, may his soul rest in peace. He was killed by Prince Johnson. At that time, everybody were in desperation. And we told this guy, I used to be in, it's crazy. Now it becomes like it becomes like a narrative of things that we went through, but that still come to people's mind. And my other brother, one, he used to play football. He hangs around a lot of Bazolians, so he speaks a little Basso. And I was in Sano, get a little bit crew. And we say, okay, I say I'm a crew man. This one Basso, and the guy would tell you, my man, he said, no, I'm a crown man. And I took God in heaven before this microphone on the Carware base. And when the Prince Johnson asked who were the crown people, the guy, he put his hands up. I was like, let this ground open. Let me just go inside. He like, I can't speak no any other dialect. Suppose they ask me. And he started calling his full name down to our pa name, who was a paramount chief of school. He had a lot of people from the name side, this and that. But I'm saying this to say that the terror really went on. Blessed be to Captain Gay, who was a Gambian contingent, who led the ECMO troop for those that were in Monrovia, or who knows the story, to rescue 300 some more people that were taken to the base and rescue people. I'm just saying this to say that everybody, each and all of us, everybody have some sort of narrative story to this whole thing here. But the $1 million question here, how can we surpass this? How can we figure out a way? It's a very difficult thing to really wrap around your head. Do you have an answer for that, though?
Yeah, Mr. So, like the law is a law. I still believe in a law. A law of Liberia says if you kill somebody, they should prosecute you. Killing somebody in Liberia for unjustified reason, you, they need to be prosecuted. They not call for reconciliation. No. If we use the law of the land,
it's justifiable reason. And not to interrupt you, so what could be an example? There were people that were killed during battle. People went exchange stray bullet and all of that. How can we? What could be the determining factor to say, okay, I killed this person on purpose, or I did not do it on purpose? How can we determine that?
But Mr. So that's why we want everybody to go to. That's why we want to establish a code, because we don't want to reconcile. Because reconciliation will just lead. The dirty clothes. If you have a dirty clothes in a basket, you keep putting more dirty clothes, then you're going to cause problem. Because one day the whole house going to be smelling with dirty clothes. That's why we want everybody to come to the war crime court and explain themselves and say what Then the judge will decide whether what you did was right or was wrong. But until that, we cannot leave the dirty clothes in a basket and say, let's leave the dirty clothes in a basket and just forget about the basket. No, we need to use the basket. What's going to happen? We need to laundry the dirty clothes. Then we know which of the clothes are usable and which of the clothes you need now. So at that point of time, not everybody that are going to the war crime court will be prosecuted or go to jail. People are going there to justify. Is there reason they're going to now? And everybody is presumed innocent. Everybody is presumed that what they do was right. Until they go there, the judge say, look, what you do, it was a grant. There's a justifiable grant that you go and kill people and go and take people belly, go and take people chicken and all those things. So that's why we want everybody to go to war. No, Mr. So the war, not only the war did not affect people on you, besides kill these people, they kill people, they loot your house, they take a zine, they take everything in the country. This is not a war. That's why we want people
because there are psychological impact, emotions, and a lot of things, infections, involved.
Which is, I totally agree. That's why we want everybody to go to war crime court, because you don't go out there and destroy people's property. And
quickly, before I let you go and go to Professor Zablo to wrap it up here, are you affiliated with any of the political party? Do you support any political party currently in Liberia?
Yeah, I support Ambassador Joseph Yuma Boaka, Ambassador Boaka.
Boaka, you alluded here that Boaka will be the next president. Has he guaranteed you that if elected president in 2023, if he's on top of the CPPT, what have you, will he support or initiate war crime? Has he guaranteed that to you?
Yeah, because I follow the reason I start supporting Ambassador Boaka, Mr. So, I don't just support people, politics and interest. I follow Ambassador Boaka. I started supporting Ambassador Boaka when he had an interview in London with BBC. So they asked Mr. Boaka about corruption and war crime court. He said, yes, I'm going to establish a war crime court. If that what the citizen want, I'm going to be the president for the country, not for myself. From that time, I know that Mr. Boaka is a genuine man, because we can go to the BBC recording, we can go other places to go in accountable. Not the president. Joria and Moruba they came on Fasta. Everything they say was Fasta, because Moruba then were the happy war crime advocate. I'm surprised for Ambassador Dan to be talking about restorative justice. When Moruba were advocating for the war crime, he even said he saw the president.
Ali Helen Johnson said he's going to be the first person to be behind the rusted bar. This is why I don't like politicians. They full of statements of political correctness. They say anything to pave their way through. Francis Doe, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Pablo.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, Mr. So, thank you very much again. Thank you guys for a wonderful discussion. We disagree and we agree on some of the things. Mr. George, I understand, empathize with you, what you go through for people to come on and accuse you of being biased, when all you are doing is just expressing your views based on the information available to you. It's sad that people who you repeatedly share your stories on this platform, for people to come back, even having heard the story, to accuse you of bias is disheartening. So I wish people out there would listen and stop doing those things.
It's nothing. They can continue.
I understand.
I appreciate your sentiment, but they can continue. For me, it's no problem. That will not stop me from what I'm doing.
Yeah, this guy out there, Dwalu, I know he's kind of fascinated with me. I don't know what to say. Maybe if I was a woman, I would say he loved me. He comes in and accused me of lying, whereas his argument was actually based on the fact that maybe my argument was not tenable, but he said I was lying, I was providing half truths and stuff like that. But look, guys, we all love our country. What we disagree is a procedure for how we can push Liberia forward. It's not antagonistic, and so I think it's okay that from time to time we can gather on platforms and exchange ideas here, so we can forge a common ground to move our country forward. I wish the war had not taken place, so that we would not have been placed in this position to be fighting about whether we should have a war crimes code or not a war crime. Here's the last thing I would say. One of the interesting things that I was with President Weah when he addressed the United Nations General Assembly the first time. his first time, for the first time, it was very clear. Look, the United Nations has been very unfair to Liberia. They had 12 years to work with their own child to implement the War Crimes Code if they felt that was important. But the United Nations knew one thing. They knew that by pushing that forward, it would have undermined Liberia's transition. So they put it on the side. Now coming a new president, and now there are elements within the United Nations pushing a course forward that has the propensity to raise the fragile hope of our people. We Liberians who are enlightened, we can't stand for that. I think the war is far beyond us, far behind us. Let's build better schools, let's build better roads, let's build better clinics, let's educate our children to avoid taking the actions of going to war. Liberia will be better, and the death of those people will be redeemed by a better country that will construct as a consequence of, as a result of our conscious action to promote development, peace, reconciliation. Thank you very much.
Okay, well, to my distinguished guests, folks, you are the best commentator. Your opinions, your views really matter here. It was a wonderful learning experience every time I bring people here. And the reason is the sort of the civility, the conduct of our conversation here at LPR. Believe me or not, the receptions, the feedback is just amazing. And I think that we can do it if we begin to, if I understand what Mr. Doe is saying, if I understand what Mr. Dow is saying, I can disagree, but I must lend him my ears, listen to him, and he can listen to me. And potentially we could find a common ground. Somalia too also convicted their former president, the war crime code, right? But what happens? The government in turn handles that. I think we also have an ability to do that. And just to let you know, there are a lot of unanswered questions. To prosecute one war crime case is approximately $37 million. So it's not just about go grabbing these people here. There are a lot of documentary things. I'm not saying it can happen, but we must take time to take a complete and comprehensive revisions of all of these things here and see where we're coming from, where we're going. But it's so frustrating that we'll have leaders who profess to be for the people, but when it gets there, they do different things. And this is where the problem comes from. And the same very people that committed these atrocities, they've been very defiant, they've been very disrespectful, they have been very boastful of their actions, they are not showing no remorse. And so it gave Liberians the reason to think and do what they are doing. Gentlemen, I want to thank you so much for your expertise. We're going to be making these sort of rounds of call here. Don't you think it's time for the real National Liberian Conference in the U.S.? What are you for? Imposition, opposition, advocates? The advocates, people say they have political interests. They support people. They become selective in their advocacy. So it kills the sales of their argument. They already feeling taken side. Only people who really don't take side, you can't something here. So I find it very difficult to where the neutrality is going to keep it. But don't you think that a real national conference on the future of Liberia should be held by diaspora in Liberia as well and make a recommendation to national government? Don't you think, guys, it's time for us to have this sort of conversation and compare people's argument, their views, their opinion, condense it, catalog it, put it into context, and say, hey, the government of Liberia, whether you voted for George Weah or not, the bottom line, he is the president until or after 2023. So we have to deal with what we have now. But the best thing we can do is to make a recommendation, because if we can do it too, what can we argue on? When he comes back tomorrow, in fact, you're in Liberia, in America, that you're talking every day, Alfonso Dan, Francis Doe, did you ever send suggestion to me? Even though that's something that's their obligation, they're supposed to. But I think that's something we must take a thought on and see whether people can come together. I'm not saying during this COVID, and listen to all of the crazy and good talk, put them together and say, the government, we in America, people in Europe can get up, people in Asia can get up. This is what we think. This is why we think about Liberia, the directions of our country. And let's see what happens. Probably it must wait to it, because they are alienating us. They feel that we are not citizens. They feel that we are not part of that country. guys, I don't want to relegate this whole interview all over. I want to thank you so much for your time this evening. By God's willing, same time, same stations. We're going to be right back here. Professor Dan, not Professor Dan, Ambassador Dan. Your invitation is on the way. And Mr. Doe, I want to thank you so much for taking all of your time. Let's keep this routine late so that we can learn and begin to think better of our country. Until then, guys, have a pleasant.
I will lift up my voice to heaven and give you the praise. Hallelujah to my King. Hallelujah to my Father. Hallelujah to my Jesus. I bow before the throne. When I look at all the wonder and I see all the creation, the beauty of the universe.
To my beautiful people in Radio Land, I want to thank you so much this evening for sharing your Sunday evening with me. It was a wonderful experience. Your comments, your tweets, your calls, your opinions, views expressed here. It does matter. It's good for our country. We must have different views, different opinion, but that's part of the conversation, the context of our conversation, and the civility we hope to attain. Until then, I'm Afonso Zian Sort of the Liberia Public Radio and Lpr-Tv. I want to thank you for being here. Let's bear in mind we all are Liberians until we can a little bit swallow some of the bitter pills. I can disagree with Orita. Orita can disagree with me, but I must lend her my ears. Let her listen to me, and then I can listen to her. When all of us start shouting, these politicians, these people, believe me or not, I know these people, they are all the same. When they are not in the system, they become white like a plain rice. But when they are incorporated, if you work in government, if you know the inner part of government, believe me, you will say yes. They are just the same. When they finish doing all of this crazy thing, our hair pumping and taking IV, Tylenoids and all of that, the overnight they're making their phone calls and working these, right? You see, you're here. It happens in the US. So what's about that? But I think it is time for us to change course in terms of our conversation, put it into a little bit context, add a little civility into it. Because to be honest, and that's why sometimes people that talk for the up or the government or the opposition, their tone, all of you the same. Your tone is not refined. People who talk for the opposition, they are not doing the opposition good. They take 90% of their time talk about the bad of the government when they're supposed to be projecting the image of what their party or their leader believes in, how they're going to do it differently. The government does the same thing. They take 90% of the time, it's on Henry Costa. Henry Costa is not a leader now. So you need to start making the argument of what you have in store. And this is what is lacking. The lack of public relations skills is the one that is killing us. So as a result, everybody cussing. And Liberia are so enticed. Believe me, take out your shirt, take out your trousers, and start cussing. You want to see the love sign. And they will tell you, say, don't act lazy and do it. But is it helping? What message is it sending? Is it adding up to anything? No, it doesn't. It just adds up to the already chaotic situation that we have in the country. And believe me, if we're not handling it now, it doesn't matter who becomes president tomorrow. It's going to get ugly and ugly and ugly. And what happens? The country suffer. We suffer. We all suffer in the diaspora because when the country is not good, you have financial stress on you. Your family, friends going to call you. Unless you don't have anybody on planet Earth, you cannot ignore them. This is why we must be able to figure out, to understand what is going on. That yes, we are people and we need to find a common ground. Well, nothing much I can say more than what I've said here, folks. I want to thank you so much. Until then, have a pleasant weekend. The coming week, please. The COVID is still real. It is desperate. It is deadly. We just lost a family member, a friend, a father this morning. I'm not saying the person died from COVID, but all of these things, there are a lot involved. No family member has told me, but we just lost a Liberian here this evening, this morning, early today, 2 o'clock here, right here in the USA. And that's our own liberal progressive first cousin, Mr. Louis Sharo, just passed away today. I am not saying that's a COVID, but I'm just only telling you we must take precautions, we must observe all protocols, do everything possible you can to save your life. May Mr. Sharot, rest in peace. The late Louis Sharot passed away right here in the Ocean State of Rhode Island. Our prayers and thought goes out to the bereaved family. Until then, have a pleasant evening. Bye-bye.
You are great. You are great. Everything is working for me. Everything is